everyone.
Aww.
Welcome. Oh, you really? Just go, oh, right away?
Yes, it's an Espresso podcast. Did you see that Orson Welles video where he's doing all those wine, where he's doing commercials for wine, and he's clearly been drinking the wine, and he's like drunk out of his mind.
Of course.
That's so amazing.
Oh, the French.
Oh, the Simpsons.
Orson Welles?
Yeah.
That's a beautiful.
That dude was so fucking awesome.
He was the greatest single human being who ever lived. He's just like...
He was, honestly. I remember watching Casino
Hey, how about
Royale.
you introduce this damn podcast, man?
Well, you're the one who derailed it, you fucking shit.
I did not.
Yeah, I like that you, Daniel, don't even feel an obligation to go back to the introduction. Just keep on talking.
Yeah, you know what? Because fuck it, like people know who we are at this point. You know, I don't think anyone's just be like, huh. You know, let's just stumble on. Okay, yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
but I kind of doubt at this point.
Hey, what about the zeros of new fans we have? Okay,
the zeros of new fans. That's right. Because we don't need new fans. The ones that we have are real ones.
It's old wine in new bottles. It's the same people. They just created new accounts. Why did
there's I think it was like 1975 or some shit, like when they first tried to adapt Casino Royale, and it was like a shitty comedy. And Orson Welles was in that movie. That movie's a piece of shit. It's like a fucking awful movie. But Orson Welles is like the best part of that movie because he pretends to be like a magician. He plays as Lashif, and he's like doing all these like absurd magic tricks, and then he plays like a poker game with James Bond. It's fucking hilarious. Like the only good part of that whole movie.
Yeah. Did you guys watch Mank?
No.
With Gary Oldman? Mank? That's a David Fincher movie, man. Why didn't you watch that?
I should have watched it.
It's an incredible movie.
Damn.
It's about the making of Citizen Kane.
Wait, are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Nobody has seen this movie. It's like the best movie of the last 10 years or something, and nobody has seen it.
What is it, on Netflix or?
Yeah, I think it's like a Netflix original movie. I think they just paid Gary Oldman $200 million to just create this movie, and he was like, okay.
Okay, well, I need to see Citizen Kane first.
Yeah.
It's like one of those movies I feel like it's on everyone's to-do list. It's like, yeah, I gotta watch fucking greatest movie of all time, Citizen Kane. Gotta get to it.
It is the greatest movie of all time, though. Like, when you watched it, you're like, oh, I get it. I get why this is better than anything that's ever been made since. Except maybe The Young Pope. The Young Pope was pretty good. But that's a TV show. That's not even a movie.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, you spoiled what Rosebud is in one of our previous episodes.
I spoiled that. Right.
You spoiled that too.
Yeah, you know, you exist in the universe, Bogan. You know that?
Yeah, and so far I avoided knowing what Rosebud is until you came along.
Yeah.
Fucking Family Guy spoiled it for me.
Yeah, and like The Simpsons. And like, how can you live in the world? Bogan, do you know what Soylent Green is?
Yeah, I know, I do.
Yeah, how can you live in the world and you're like, oh yeah, the planet of the apes. I wonder what that planet is. Well, I have no further solved that problem. Off to not watch that movie. It's like, man, you know, you're a movie guy, kinda, and you like bad movies, but you also kind of like good movies, maybe. And like, yeah, but you're like a grown-ass man. It's not my obligation to keep the Rosebud secret anymore. Like, if you cared, you would have watched it.
Yeah, isn't it kind of weird how, like...
Yeah, I can't argue with that, but...
Isn't it kind of weird, though, that there's, like...
What?
There's, like, certain things that are accepted in pop culture that we just know. Isn't that kind of weird?
No,
like
that's normal.
Like, no, that's not weird at all.
But like, I remember...
You mean, like, rap music on the radio?
No, I mean, like, there's no need to do, like, a Batman origin story, because we all know what Batman's origin story is. Oh. Yet we have Batman's origin story, like, 6, 7, 8 fucking times.
Yeah. You know that they didn't give us Tom Holland's Spider-Man origin story? Because Kevin Feige was like, listen, you fuckers, you don't need to know. You know it. I want a prequel Spider-Man movie where Tom Holland is digitally de-aged because he's already like 50, and they digitally de-age him to be a teenager. And I want to see Uncle Ben die again.
But they did kind of do the origin story. They just replaced Uncle Ben with Iron Man.
Yeah, but he didn't give him like the... With great power, there must also come great responsibility.
Yeah. Okay.
And he was like already a superhero.
They didn't say the sentence.
Yeah, but like he had internalized that lesson already. He even said it. He was like, when you can do things like I can do, and you don't, and the bad guy gets away, that's your fault, mate.
Even the first Spider-Man Homecoming is about, oh no, this power is too big for me. I'm gonna scale it back.
That sounds more like the only thing for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing.
Well, he said something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's because what you were describing, I'm like, is that still the responsibility thing?
Yeah, he didn't say that exact. He said like, when you can do the things that I can do, and you can stop the bad guys, and you don't, that's on you. It's like, yeah, when you have the power, you also have the responsibility to use the power correctly.
Right.
Yeah. You don't know anything about Spider-Man, Daniel.
I mean, I know things. I just don't know anything about this new shit.
I'm gonna bust out the Spider-Man quiz in a few hours.
I watched that 90s Spider-Man cartoon religiously as a kid, okay?
Is that dog shit 90s Spider-Man cartoon?
It probably is dog shit.
Is
I don't know.
If you want a good Spider-Man cartoon, watch the Spectacular Spider-Man. That's amazing. The 90s Spider-Man, like, that's garbage. I rewatched all of that like 15 years ago or whatever, and I'm like, this sucks. Why don't we have more Spider-Man cartoons that are better than this? And like, I had that on the Spectacular Spider-Man. I also had that Spider-Man Unlimited, the one where he, Carnage, and Venom go into Dimension X, and that one sucks too. But now all the new Spider-Man cartoons suck.
I remember even as a kid when they tried to go from the Spider-Man show that I liked and they tried to make that sequel one, Unlimited. I was like immediately like, this sucks. Even as a kid, I was just like, what is this shit?
Why does Spider-Man have a cape? And his cape is just like a web? This is stupid.
Yeah, it was lame.
You know why Spectacular Spider-Man was so good?
Why was it so good?
It was
elucidate.
It was good because it was made by Warner Bros., the animation studio of Warner Brothers. And this was prior to Disney buying Marvel. So Marvel just paid Warner Bros. To make them a good cartoon, and they did. And then Disney bought them and were like, nope, we're going to replace it with our own. And they created, I think it's like the Ultimate Spider-Man or like the Marvel Spider-Man show or something. Like Josh Keaton didn't return to play Spider-Man. They got some other kid, and it's like, This is shit. Why is Spider-Man hanging out with all these like other teenage superheroes who are boring? White Tiger, boring. Luke Cage and Iron Fist, they're like cool, but not as teenagers. And there was like a fourth one who sucked. What is today's episode, Daniel?
Today we're talking about Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Which is that's gonna be fun.
Long awaited.
That's gonna be the second half of the episode, though. For those that are just jumping in who don't know our format, I do remember reading one comment where this guy's like, "Hey, man, I thought this was I thought this could be a little more, in depth about the topic. Well, you guys are just talking about fucking random movies and shit. It's like, what is this?" And it's like, hey, bro, let's make this clear. The whole episode's not about the topic. First half, we talk about random stuff that we've been doing.
The first half?
Second half.
The first half, we're trying to get to the introduction. The first quarter of the second half, that's what we've been doing. And the final quarter is the topic.
Basically, yeah. Speaking of which, Acer, why Gordon Ramsay?
I've been watching a lot of Gordon Ramsay, man. He's cool.
Like Kitchen Nightmares or Hell's Kitchen?
Mainly Kitchen Nightmares. Hell's Kitchen, I don't really care much for because that's like Hell's Kitchen is a cooking show, and I don't really like cooking, so I don't like that. But I love Kitchen Nightmares because Kitchen Nightmares is like a management show where you have like
yeah.
And he's like, I love how every single episode is the exact same episode where he's like, hello, I've come here to taste your food, and how good is the food? And the manager's like,
it's shit.
It's amazing. It's the best food you ever had, I tell you. And he eats it, and it's like, this is shit. This is terrible. And the manager's like, what? What does he mean? My defrosted noodles aren't the best shit he's ever had. What are you talking about? And
wait, before you proceed, I need to ask a very important question. Are you talking about the UK version or the American version?
Oh, the UK version I could give two shits about. The American version is where it's at. Because
I'm the opposite. No, I'm the opposite. I love the UK version. I tried watching the American version. I thought it was garbage.
No, the American version is better because it's so overproduced and you have all those, like, they have 3 sound effects and they just keep reusing them. And the Americans, like, the American version, like, I feel like the British persons, they're more, like, subdued and, like, they're more beaten down by the world. So when Gordon Ramsay is telling them that, like, you're a bad manager, you need to wake up to reality. The British are like, yeah, sir. What? Yeah, of course, sir. But in the American one, it's like, nah, you go fuck yourself, Gordon Ramsay. You don't know what you're talking about. You're a lousy chef. There's so much more antagonism.
Yeah, I mean, the American version is way goofier. Like, it's just, it's so silly. But I like the UK version because it felt like more earnest, more sincere. Like, it was like, it felt like a really genuine attempt to help these restaurants. Like, Gordon was just like, okay, there's some serious problems here, and I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna be kind of rough with you about it, but we're gonna get through this. While the American version, like you say, is just like, fuck you, man. Suck my dick. How dare you not like my French fries?
Isn't that like most American reality TV shows? It's just they're construing drama with a dumb premise, and then like people cringe at it.
Yeah, kind of. But what's so cool about Kitchen Nightmares is that, like, every show is the same. Every episode is the same episode. Every single time he walks in, you can see he has 2 things on his mind. Number 1, I need to look at the fridge, and I need to see how rotten that disgusting thing is. And number 2, I need to find the person who is, like, because, like, the restaurant is run as, like, a command structure where you have, like, a manager and everybody is, like, the manager's in charge of everything and everybody should answer to them. And everything that fails is the responsibility of the manager. I need to find out who the manager is, and I need to get them to explain to me why they haven't been doing their job. And it's always so fun where it's like, you know, he goes through the fridge and it's like, oh, hey, here we have, like, frozen chicken from 10 years ago. When was the last time this was ordered? And the manager's like, I don't know. I don't do the ordering. It's the chef who does the ordering. And the chef is like, yeah, well, she doesn't let me order anything. It's like, well, you lousy manager. And so great because they always feel like they gotta talk back. They always gotta, like, it's like, you know, just shut up. Just listen to the world's most successful chef. Whether or not you like him or not, or whether his food is good or not, he's certainly a more successful chef than anybody else in the world. Maybe
that's something
Maybe you need to shut the fuck up and actually listen to this guy.
That's something I always give him credit for, though, because it could be so easy for him to just be like, whip out all his accolades and just be like, I did this, I did that, I won all these awards, blah, blah, blah. But he never does that.
No.
He always tries to just focus on what the issue is and just tries to focus on fixing the problem.
One of my favorite exchanges was when, like, it's Joe, the guy with, like, the steakhouse that sucked, and he was like, you know, you're no better of a restaurateur than me, Chef Gordon. And Gordon was like, I can cook, Joe. I was like, oh, damn.
That's fucking good.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I've been just...
Let me...
Yeah?
Yeah. Let me... I don't know. Are you done with the topic? I want to ask a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Not to be like the downer here, but my problem with these types of shows is that I just don't trust any of this to be genuine. I always trust that this is all just a huge script that they're all playing off.
Oh.
Like, you know, that example that you mentioned about, oh, this chicken is 5 years old in the fridge. how do I not know that some dumb producer just put that chicken in there and then wrote them a little scene about it, and now they're acting it out?
Because, Bogan, here's the thing you don't seem to understand. It's called reality TV, not scripted TV.
Oh.
No,
okay.
I think there's been I think he's done enough episodes that if people were going off a script, it would have come out. I know he's been accused of it, I think twice. There's been somebody went to legal proceedings because it's well, he just states that, or I think it may also been one time he had he was accused of putting actors in the diner while he was eating so that he could play off of their reactions. But it's the people who are making those accusations, when you watch those episodes, they are so clearly unhinged. It's you can use the camera to trick people and to make people look bad, but there was no way of making those people look good. Those were just actually crazy people, like that Amy's Baking Company episode. It's
yeah, just that episode's great.
Yeah, it's just these people are actually insane. They have no business being in this industry, and Gordon Ramsay just gives up. He's just I can't break through. You people live behind so many layers of delusion. I can't. There's nothing.
I guess you can kind of pre-screen what's the restaurant, who's the owner, are they idiots? Can we do something with that?
Yeah, I don't know. I imagine there's definitely they definitely play stuff up. And you can see, it's really, one difference between the UK version and the US version is that I think Gordon is a lot more confrontational in the American version. So it's he's been told by his producers, when you have an opportunity to pick a fight, pick the fight. Get those people, agitated. I think it's more scripted like that, where they're trying to pressure people into giving certain reactions. But I think it's 90% of it is at least real.
See,
90%, okay.
Yeah.
See, in the UK version, Gordon doesn't really get that angry most of the time. The few times he actually does legitimately start yelling, it's whoa, holy shit! It's a fucking moment. That's and that's why I have kind of an issue with the US version, where it's just it feels like he's yelling every episode.
Yeah, I love also about just Gordon Ramsay as a human being. I think I like him for the same reason I liked Top Gun, where it's I like somebody who's really good at their job doing their job. Where it's okay, these are just expert fighter jet pilots. Let's see what their life is like. It's yeah, let's. And you compare Gordon Ramsay to a Simon Cowell. I'm I bet Simon Cowell can't even sing. I doubt that guy could actually sing to save his life. Why is he judging a singing contest? Is he a music guy?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's maybe
I don't know who that is, but
he's the guy on American Idol,
that, right?
American Idol, the guy no one likes.
Do you think I watch American Idol?
I don't watch American Idol, and I know who Simon Cowell is.
Did you watch Shrek 2?
Yeah, at some point.
He's in the post credit there of the or the DVD extra of Shrek Idol, and he was also he did a cameo in Scoop, the Scooby-Doo movie, when Mystery Inc. was we need to rebrand ourselves. We need to find an expert who can communicate with the kids and reach them. I know, let's find Simon Cowell, and they went and talked to Simon Cowell, and it's it's so bad. It's such a bad movie, and he's such a bad person.
Well, he's a bad person too.
Yeah, I think he's a bad person. Well, I mean, he sucks, man. He's not like with Gordon Ramsay. He can cook. He knows what he's talking about. I believe him. I trust when he gives these people advice.
You trust Gordon Ramsay. You don't trust Simon Cowell.
Yeah, when Simon Cowell is criticizing those people singing, I'm I don't know if you actually know what you are talking about, Simon Cowell. Why don't you he may be a music producer. I think he produced One Direction, but it's I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You don't only have musicians on that panel. You also have people who know the industry.
Yeah. But my issue is that it's a singing contest. And it's if it was a music production contest, maybe he would have something to say. But it's not. It's a singing contest.
Well, you can kind of like. Why am I defending this guy? I don't know.
Yeah,
but you need more of a perspective on like not only how good can you sing, but also how marketable are you.
See,
how do you present yourself?
See, if the contest is, are you a marketable singer? Then sure. But it's always.
Well, that's part of it.
No, it's always advertised as like just a singing contest.
Yeah, because no one wants
remember
to admit that.
Susan Boyle, that lady who looked like she was really weird, and she sang that song from Les Mis, and it was really beautiful, and everybody had like, oh my god, what a crazy reaction. It's like, yeah, because that's a person who is not commercially marketable, who has an incredible voice.
That's probably what makes her marketable.
Yeah, but you can do that to anybody.
Being different from the norm can be profitable.
Yeah, but then again, you can do that to anybody. Everybody is different from the norm.
They don't have talent.
No, but again, if you're just judging the talent, why is it Simon Cowell? Is my question. I doubt that he's the most qualified man to be judging a singing contest, but I know that Gordon Ramsay is probably the most qualified man to be judging a cooking contest.
Okay,
so,
I don't know about that. I could assume that he's very qualified and also very entertaining, which is also an important part of casting him for his own show.
You don't need to be a singer in order to critique someone singing. You don't need to be a chef in order to eat some food and go, yeah, this tastes like shit.
No. But I think you, Gordon Ramsay doesn't taste your food and say, yeah, this tastes like shit. He's not critiquing the food. He's critiquing the cooking. So I don't think it's in, you can listen to the song or listen to the singing and say, yeah, that's bad. But if you're going to actually, give feedback, I think you need to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's denying that Gordon Ramsay doesn't know what he's talking about.
I don't disagree with that, but, I don't think you necessarily need to be a chef in order to just, maybe give suggestions and be like, well, this is lacking seasoning, this is lacking flavor,
That's such a, this lacks seasoning.
Well, this should taste better. That's my critique.
Why didn't you put ketchup on the side so I could eat my steak with it?
No, but it's okay, let's put it this way. If I was running Gordon Ramsay's show, nobody would watch it. If I was running Gordon Ramsay's show and I knew as much about cooking as him, still people wouldn't watch it because I'm not as entertaining as him.
I don't think obviously from the production side of making a show, yeah, you prefer somebody who's marketable and watchable to somebody who knows what they're talking about. But all other things being equal, him knowing what he's talking about, I can't watch Kitchen Nightmares when Gordon Ramsay is just a guy. I can't, like Guy Fieri. Guy Fieri does a very similar thing where he's just like, I'm gonna travel the country and I'm gonna taste deep fried bacon. And it's just like, man, you're just like a guy who eats greasy food. You're not an expert. I don't respect your opinion, so I'm not gonna watch it. But if he was like the real deal and he was like, no, actually, there's this whole culinary craft of deep frying food, I'd be like, okay, that's kind of interesting. And look, maybe he is. Maybe Guy Fieri has not wronged me. I shouldn't be calling him out like this.
He's not on your enemy list?
He's not on my enemies list.
Not yet.
Hey, this is... Do you remember that in The Simpsons? It's like, hey, wait a minute. This is just Richard Nixon's enemies list. But I don't know. Maybe Simon Cowell is the most qualified man in the world. Maybe he's totally qualified to be judging it, but I don't know. I feel like...
there's plenty of music producers out there that don't know how to play an instrument, and yet they were responsible for, tons of talent.
Yeah, but it's not enough. Also, if you're going to be giving people, if you're going to be instructing people on how to do something, you need to know how to do it yourself.
When have the most qualified people ever gotten what they deserved? Can you tell me that?
Gordon Ramsay. I don't even know why
that's an assumption.
Gordon Ramsay, man.
No.
He's very qualified.
Yeah, but he's very qualified. Is he the most qualified?
He's probably
Probably
maybe
not in terms of cooking. I'm sure there are
Well, how
better
do you
cooks than
answer a
him.
question like that?
It's
Yeah,
not, like,
exactly.
Look,
Like,
it's not a question of does everybody get what they deserve, but it's a question of like do some of them? It's like, yeah, Gordon Ramsay. Imagine working with Gordon Ramsay if he was a really bad chef. Like that guy, you wouldn't keep him around. Like with that anger, with that like temper that he has, you'd fire him immediately. It's like you're a shit chef and you have attitude. Just imagine how good of a chef he must be that he was able to thrive in spite of his attitude. In spite of his personality, he was
But
able
his
to thrive.
attitude is marketable. That's what people like.
Yeah, but he didn't start as a TV guy. He started as just a chef in like high-end restaurants.
yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, maybe he was better at hiding it. Maybe they're playing it up for the show.
Yeah, totally.
I'm pretty. It's pretty obvious that like he doesn't act like that all the time. He's playing it up.
There's a great video where he's hanging out with like one of his teachers, and they're doing like a TV segment on his teacher's show. And Gordon's like, he's still just a student there, and he's silent as a mouse. He's just like a soldier in training. He's just quiet. He's paying close attention. I think the guy's like making pasta or something, and Gordon's just like intensely focused on it. And I'm watching that, and I'm like, Gordon, what do you see? What do you see? Like, what are you taking away from the master of making spaghetti? What are you looking at here, man? What do you see that I don't see? Because I'm just looking at a man making pasta. Yeah. Anyways,
I feel like
move on.
I feel like we spent too much time on Gordon Ramsay.
Daniel, all your topics are gone.
yeah.
No, shut up. How dare you?
Yeah, Bogan, was there a new World of Warcraft expansion?
What the fuck?
Sort
It's
of.
coming.
It's not tech.
It's coming
It's not
November 28th,
Yeah.
Are you gonna play it?
of course.
Why?
Because I've lost control of my life.
Are you a shill? Are you like an Activision Blizzard shill? Sorry.
Excuse me, that's a
feel like-
Microsoft chill now.
I feel like Boken, you've become 70% MMOs in fighting games.
Oh, that's gonna be 100% soon. Like when Street Fighter 6 drops, I'm done with everything else.
That's it. The 30% that was left, it's just going to be filled
You're
with
that-
Street Fighter.
You're that meme of the guy who's like, I can't possibly fit another MMO in my life. And then you like take out...
How can I?
Yeah, and you're like taking out your YouTube channel, or can I? House of the Dragon. I watched the first 2 episodes. Pretty good. That Doctor Who guy is in it. Matt Smith. He was almost
Oh.
a young Palpatine in Rise of Skywalker. Remember when we
Oh,
watched
that's
that?
where I know him from. I was wondering where I fucking know that face from. He's
He
like
was-
the guy who is like, that meme of like angrily fixes his bow tie and then listen here, you little shit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How unfortunate. Matt Smith is a really good actor, and he was a good doctor, but his seasons were not the best. He was not given the best material.
Did you guys know that Matt Smith... here's a little thing about Matt Smith. He has
What's
kind
up?
of a weird head. His head shape is kind of weird. I don't know
He
what it
looks
is.
very weird.
Don't make fun of the guy's head. That's not fair.
No,
He
hold
just
on.
he looks unique.
He has that Benedict Cumberbatch and Adam Driver thing where it's like he's very handsome but in a very unconventional way. And he was also, here's the thing that you got, this, I'm gonna blow your nuts clean off your body. He played no, wait. Maybe he didn't. Was he? I think he was in Terminator Genesis, which is the best Terminator movie. But maybe he was in the Dark Future movie. I think he was in Terminator Genesis. I was gonna be like, he played John Connor in Terminator Genesis, but he didn't. There was another guy who played John Connor in that movie.
My nuts remain unblown.
What are you talking about? He was in Terminator, man. You know how many Terminators they made? You know how many times they tried to
Is that the
fix
answer?
that dumpster fire franchise? Like 3 times. They were like, well, Terminator 3 killed it. Terminator Salvation? No. Oh, okay. Terminator Salvation? The Genesis? No. The Terminator Dark Future? No. Yeah, that's him. He looks good with white Targaryen hair, though.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No, I like the casting a lot.
I don't like
be
the guy
honest.
who plays the king. I feel like he's...
What?
Yeah, maybe I'll... Like I said, I've only watched like the first 2 episodes. He's not bad, but I feel like he looks like a New York cabbie. He's like... I don't know if you work in like a fantasy show. Like Matt Smith, he has the face of somebody who could be like in a fantasy. You would never put like Channing Tatum as like a knight. That doesn't work. He looks way too weird. I feel like the guy who plays the king looks like too much New York.
Okay, I didn't get that. I like him. He's like he plays his part very well. Like
Hey,
kind of a
What do you think about
pushover king.
What do you think about Rhys Ifans?
Who's that?
He's the guy. Remember when they were on the bridge and Doctor Who was giving him the egg? Rhys Ifans is the guy who was taking the egg, and he was like, "You're committing treason. You're committing treason against the king, your brother. Are you so petty?"
You mean the hand
He may be the hand
of the king?
Yeah.
Yeah, Otto Highgarden, I think his name is.
Yeah.
His character's name is.
High Wall, I think it is.
Well, I don't know. He didn't stick out to me much.
You know why it's funny that he's the hand of the king? Because he is most famous for playing a character who lost his hand. And I am, of course, talking about Dr. Kurt Connors in The Amazing Spider-Man. Did you watch that? He's the
no.
lizard. He plays the lizard in The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, okay. What a career he's had.
What a wild career he's had. Yeah, I guess that's it. I don't care to talk to you guys anymore.
Yeah. I think watch the rest, honestly. Like House of the Dragon, I think it's very good.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it, man.
There were some weird plot developments. I watched the last episode yesterday. I was kind of just shouting at myself because I was very confused. But I think it works still.
Do you guys know who Smoketown is?
Nope.
What?
Oh, whatever. I was talking to Smoketown about House of the Dragon, and he was like, "Yeah, man, you should totally watch it." I'm like, I do like dragons.
Every time you guys say House of the Dragon, it makes me think of the Trivium album, Court of the Dragon.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Just kind of a weird crisscross.
It's not that weird.
I thought there was another Bruce Lee reference coming.
Not really.
The Dragon.
There's Enter the Dragon, Return of the Dragon. What? I think that's it. I don't think there's any other dragons.
Is he the dragon in those movies?
Yes.
Okay. I think I could take Bruce Lee. Did I ever tell you guys that?
Yep.
No, you can't.
I think I could.
Let me tell you, as someone who edited the last podcast, you told us that many times.
I didn't tell it for that long.
We had a whole fucking conversation on this bullshit.
I just think I could. I feel like I could like study his moves. He can't study my moves. I feel like I know his weaknesses. I'll just like pop a painkiller in his mouth and he'll have a heart attack or whatever. Hey now, maybe.
What else did you do?
What's this about Dark Souls and philosophy?
You guys don't want to talk about Bruce Lee anymore? We don't have to talk about anything. You guys can talk about your topics now. I'm exhausted. I also have I've had the flu for the past week, so I only have so much I can say before my throat gives out.
All right, fair enough. Okay, Boken, what do you...
So I'm
do you want to talk about
stuff? Eating
Boken,
these hard rock candies that soften your throat.
Yeah. Oh god, he's delirious. Help.
Boken, do you want to talk about JoJo?
Yes, I want to. I'm not allowed to because Asa hasn't watched it.
Yes. I refuse
So-
to watch.
You can be vague about it.
No.
I
You
actually
can't
don't have that much to say. The only interesting thing about this, I mean, it's good still. Like I like JoJo and I like Part 6. I like JoJo and I didn't like Part 5 when I read it, and I still liked it as a show. I don't
So
know. Something about JoJo's an anime just works for me.
Did you watch that? Did you read it
Interesting.
with that? Because it got Part 5 got like a really bad translation originally. Is that why you didn't like it?
No. The reason why I didn't like it is because I found all the characters boring and samey. And I think when they turned it into an anime, they, the voices and the animation just gave them a little bit more character. And then the colors too. I don't know. I think that helped just distinguishing them a bit more.
I really like David Production. Like, their art style is fucking phenomenal. Like, just the way that certain scenes will just like, they'll just fuck with the colors in like really interesting ways. I always enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Part 2 of Stone Ocean, like it's still good, but I don't have much to say about it. And part of that is because I just binged the whole thing when I had days off, and it was just over. Like, I waited so long for this, and then they dropped 15 episodes, and I just watched it all and was over. And it like didn't have time to savor it, didn't have time to think about it much. It was just
imagine
a lot of weirdness being thrown at me.
Imagine being the guy at Netflix who has the power to make these decisions and making a wrong decision and then doubling down on it. Like, everybody is complaining that they ruined weekly JoJo's. It's like, it was so fun. The community, we got one new episode a week, and it's like, oh my god, let's dissect it. Let's do all the memes. Let's have fun talking about it. Nah, let's just do binge shit because we're Netflix and we don't know how to run a company. Assholes.
I think I've read the other day that they're moving away from that now.
Yeah, I read that too, but it's not real. It was a fake release by somebody who doesn't work for Netflix.
What? Shit.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
That does suck. Give me my weekly JoJo, you assholes. Like,
Yeah,
why
weekly JoJo during Part 5 was just great.
Yeah.
Because these episodes have a lot of just complete random nonsense in it that I think people just need a bit of time to like do something comedic with. And if you just drop all of it at once, it's just too much JoJo.
Imagine, Bogan, I'm going to actually like I'm going to become the Joker if they do this shit to Part 7. Part 7, that's not going to work if you release it in batches. You need to do that weekly. It's so much.
Yeah, like isn't Part 7 way longer than the other parts?
Yeah, it's like I think it's twice as long as Part 3. No, I think it's twice as long as it's very long. Because Part 3, like the anime, it's split into 2 parts. I think it's very long. I think it's twice as long as maybe Part 5 or something. There's so much to it. And because they're like, it's a road show. It's like they're traveling across the country and they're having like weird adventures. You can't batch that without being like, well, this is this batch where it's like, well, here they are in Tennessee and half of the story in Kansas. It's like, what are you doing here, man? Just do it right, man. What are you doing?
Yeah, that was part of the problem here too, like in Stone Ocean, because I didn't even know there was a third batch. I thought this was just the end, because I haven't read Stone Ocean fully, so I didn't know when it exactly ends. And I just thought we're getting there now. So then I watched all of it and was like, oh, wait, there's another cliffhanger? And I've been waiting for this for, what, 2 years?
No, it released earlier this year.
No.
Yes. It released in January or February.
I am looking this up.
Wow! You did not wait 2 years for this.
I did not wait only 8 months for this. You are lying. Hold on.
Yeah,
Release
well,
December 1st.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you waited.
It
like
felt
10
like an
months.
eternity.
Yeah, you know why? Because the story just like they just stopped telling it, and then they started telling it again. It's like, what is
Yeah.
this, man?
And there wasn't even. I felt like the ending of the first batch. It wasn't even a good narrative, point to break the story. It's just like, okay, they're still in the fucking prison.
What do you think about what did you think about Young Ye as Poochie? Or did you
What?
did you watch it subbed? Like a total
Yes.
degenerate. Oh, okay. I see.
Like a connoisseur.
Like a filthy casual. Dub only for me, thanks.
Yeah. Anyway, it's still good. Just
Cool.
I guess I'm waiting another 8 months for the third part.
Yeah. Hey, when does the next Code Geass movie come? They said they were gonna do like 10 Code Geass movies. Do you guys remember that?
Did they?
They said they had. I think they said they had 10 years worth of content to deliver on. I'm like, holy crap, we're gonna be doing this forever.
I don't know. I feel like after the last movie came out to like a wet fart and nobody cared.
I
they're
care.
probably
I
like,
love that movie.
Did nobody care? What did that movie actually make money?
I think it made money.
it
did.
Nobody was really. There was no buzz for it. Nobody was talking about it. There was no hype. Like
I was hyped.
you are one person. You do not represent the collective.
Daniel, but you have to see that we, as a little bubble, are not representative either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Apparently,
but like,
people on the outside like Code Geass for
On the
some fucking
outside.
reason.
I'm not talking about the quality. I'm just strictly saying, as someone that interacts with AniTube and the anime community, no one was fucking talking about that movie. There was no discussion. Maybe it did make tons of money in Japan. Maybe it did. I don't know. But like, as far as like over here is concerned, based on what I've seen, at least, it looks like that movie like didn't do anything.
Did they ever explain how Lulu survived? I don't think they did. Oh wait, he lost his memories. I remember.
Yeah, he was kind of like just comatose, or at least like he was kind of like how Casca ended up after like the eclipse in
Who the
Berserk,
hell
kind of
is
just
Casca?
like
I thought you meant like Casca from Code Geass. I'm like, who the fuck is Casca? And then you went Berserk. I'm like, oh yeah, of course, that good manga, of course.
the good manga. I think that's how Lelouch ended up. He, similarly, kind of mentally traumatized and was just mentally disassociated.
Yeah.
Anyways, Boken, do you have anything else to talk about?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Did either one of you watch The Offer?
No,
No.
You both said you were gonna check it out.
I did not.
One of you said you were gonna check it out.
That was probably me.
Why didn't
But
you?
I
did you betray
haven't
me?
checked it out. I will just get off
will
my
you?
back.
Will you?
Yeah,
It doesn't seem like you're gonna. Seems like you're lying to me.
I'm not lying.
Oh, then where is it? Why didn't you watch it, man?
I didn't say when I would watch it. I just said that I would at some point.
I'm gonna watch it, lol, in 10 years.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Depends on when I feel like it. Do either of you know what Omori is?
Yes, you've been tweeting about it nonstop.
Okay, you've seen me tweet about it, but do you know what it is?
It's a game that makes young boys cry.
What? Boken, have you heard of Omori?
Yes, you've tweeted about it a lot.
Oh my fucking god. Have you heard about it outside of me tweeting about it?
Hey, Bogan, what do you think Omori
Well, just
is?
now when Asa talked about it.
Bogan, do you know what Omori is about?
Now I don't even want to talk about it because it fucks.
I knew this was gonna go horribly.
Horribly
I
wrong.
want to know you wanted to, because I know you want to talk about how emotional it is, and you know who you're talking to here.
Yeah, you have the emotional capacity of a fucking potato.
Damn, Boken. He got you.
I think he was talking to you.
No way.
I clearly said Boken. Burn.
I don't cry
Anyways.
at video games. I feel like that's what you do when, like, there are people who go through media and they're like, "Make me feel, man. Make me feel." I'm like, man, just what are you gonna try to make me feel? Why can't you just let me fight a dragon or some shit? You know?
I mean, I'm not like a very touchy-feely, emotional kind of guy. I don't cry at things at the drop of a hat. It's really not me. Like, I've seen so many fucking people talk about how, oh my god, this one scene in fucking whatever, I got so emotional and made me cry so much. And I'm like really? The guy eating soup? Like,
Yeah.
or something random like that. It's just,
Oh my god. This. No, okay. I'm not.
but like I could across all media in my entire fucking life, I could probably count on one, maybe two hands the amount of times that I've actually like cried, because it just does not happen.
It happened when
Really?
you watched Code Geass. You were like, why am I watching this shit?
Yeah, maybe.
I want to die.
I want to die.
Why
But,
is he telling us
see-
to kill the Japanese people? Are you kidding me? Who wrote this?
This doesn't make any sense.
See, I can count it on one hand because it happened exactly twice, and I know both times. And otherwise, I don't know.
We're also macho. We watch anime without crying.
I'm not even saying that to be macho. Just maybe I have the emotional capacity of a potato.
I've cried a bunch when I watch stuff. I'm like 12 years old and I'm watching I think I was watching Full Metal Alchemist or something, and I'm like, damn, why is he gotta be banished, man? Why can't he come back to his home dimension? This is the original 2003 show. I'm like, damn, bruh, it's so unfair. And when Nina died, I was like, damn, dog, why does she have to die with her damn dog?
Yeah, the stuff with Nina, I could definitely understand why people would cry to that one. I just thought it was more like disturbing. I was just like, oh man, that's really fucked up.
Yeah, same.
Because your guys you guys don't know. You guys don't know. You're both sociopaths. I think that's the problem here.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Did you ever watch American Psycho and be like, damn, he's just like me?
Yeah.
I've never watched that movie.
And then you like peel off like your face skin like he does with that mascara face mask thing, and you're like, you peel off your own face.
Are you saying that I'm secretly Christian Bale?
Yeah. You've never seen American Psycho?
No, I've never seen it.
Oh my god, it's like the best movie ever made.
Are you being sarcastic, or is it actually like
it's
good
a really
movie?
good movie.
Okay. I mean, I've heard generally good things. Anyways, I want to talk about fucking Omori. We've got so sidetracked. Okay. So, one of the frustrating things about this game, though, or at least talking about it, is that like there seems to be this kind of stereotype that this game unfortunately kind of falls into, of like, oh, it's an Earthbound inspired game about depression, like that, that kind of shit.
Yeah, this better not be an actual Earthbound inspired game about depression.
It is an Earthbound inspired game about trauma.
Kill me.
It's the main character happens to be depressed, but it's because of severe trauma. Now, what I think is really interesting though is I wanted to compare it to something, but then I realized if I make that comparison, I'm actually spoiling the whole thing. So I'm not gonna say that.
Oh
This
my
game
God, it's
is.
Silent Hill 2, probably.
I'm not gonna say.
Oh, it is Silent Hill 2. Otherwise, you would have just said no. Oh God, he killed
No, I'm
somebody
not
and
gonna.
he inflicted
If I'm
trauma on
not,
himself.
I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not confirming one way or the other. Anyways, the game.
You know what his trauma was, Spoken? He's the kid, Omori. He's the guy who went on stage in that Tesla showcase, and he was told by Elon Musk to throw that rock at the car, and he actually broke the window, and that's his trauma.
Oh yeah, that's
And
the
then
trauma.
he did it again. He was like repeating the trauma.
Are you done?
Imagine if that was like his actual origin story.
Shut up. Anyways, the game is the thing I really like about it is that it's kind of divided into two halves. So half the game takes place in headspace, which is exactly what it sounds like. It takes place in the main character's head, and it's supposed to be representative of the main character indulging in escapism. Like, he is going through all of these little like fantasy adventures with his friends, and he's doing all these like fun activities with them, and it plays like Earthbound in that sense. It's like a turn-based RPG, and you're going all these quirky worlds with like a cute aesthetic or whatever. And then the other half of the game just takes place in the real world, right? Like, you find out that like the friends that he has and a lot of the characters are actually real people, and it turns out that the main character has been a shut-in for 4 years. He's just been stuck at home, and he doesn't want to leave, and he's going to be moving soon. In a couple of days, he's going to move away, and this is basically his last chance to hang out with his friends again, to see what they're up to, and see what has been happening these past 4 years since he decided to shut himself away. And I think when I realized that the game was going to go back and forth, because the game first starts off in like the fantasy stuff, and you don't really know what's going on, and then when the real world stuff starts happening, that's when the game really clicked for me, and I was just like, oh shit, okay. So the whole game, because at first I thought the whole game was just going to be like cute, fun adventure stuff with like maybe some dark elements here and there, but then the real world stuff contextualizes a lot of the fantasy stuff, and you start to realize that these are all like reflections and memories that the main character has turned into like this hyper idealized form in his head. And then you find out why he's been a shut-in for 4 years. You find out like that these versions of these characters in his head are not the same as how they are in real life, because it's been 4 years, things change, but also that there was something that happened that caused everyone to kind of grow apart from each other. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at that. I think it's a really phenomenal game. I really personally loved it a lot. And my biggest complaint, though, is I do think that the real world stuff is the most interesting part of the game. And there are times where I felt like the headspace stuff kind of dragged a bit too long, and it kind of made me go like, oh, fuck, I want it to get back to the good shit. But aside from that, I would strongly recommend it. It's not that long. It's like a 20-hour game.
How much gameplay? How much gameplay is there? Is it only in the headspace?
So when you're in the real world, you're still walking around, and you could do like side activities, and you could talk to people. And technically, there's still combat even in the real world. I think there's like an optional dungeon that you could do in the real world, which is like, I think it's like a sewer or something. But I didn't bother with that because I was more focused on just continuing along the story. I was just like, I don't give a shit about this side stuff. But like, yeah, there's a decent amount of gameplay. Like the thing is, it's like it's a turn-based RPG, and I think it has a lot of interesting ideas. So like, when you're in combat, you could control the emotions of your party members as well as the enemies. And it has kind of like a rock, paper, scissor type of thing where happy beats sad, sad beats angry, angry beats happy, or something like that. And each of the different emotional states also has passive buffs and debuffs. So like, if you're angry, your attack goes up, but your defense goes down. And if you're happy, I think you have more health, but your attack rate goes down. It's different things like that. So there is actually like a decent bit of strategy that goes into it. And I think this is really made apparent in the boss fights, where the boss fights actually really force you to really think about what you're doing. You can't, if you're not paying attention, the boss fights can really wreck your shit. But you don't need to grind. Like, if you're playing through the game normally, like, you shouldn't have to grind. But yeah, the gameplay for me was not like the highlight of the game, though. For me, it was the story. The music is fantastic. I think the game has a really unique and great art style. The characters are really vividly written. Like, I really love the characters a lot. And I feel like the payoff for the story at the end, well, I guess it depends on which ending you get, because there's like 5 endings, I think. But yeah, depending on what ending you get, I think if you get the good ending, I think the payoff is worth it. The only thing is, there's two routes that you could take in the game. So like, you could actually choose not to go outside. You could choose to stay home, and that changes the story. And I didn't do that, so I can't really comment on that too much. But I don't recommend that, just because it feels antithetical to what the point of the game is, which is to confront your problems. But yeah. Recommend it. It's good. Really good.
Okay.
All right.
Doesn't sound too bad, to be honest.
I honestly think it's at the very least, I would say maybe if you don't want to play through it, at least watch some videos or something, because I genuinely think like the story is good enough that it's worth experiencing in some form, just to see what happens. Although I do feel like playing through the game got me more attached to the character, so I don't know. It's up to you. Aside from that, I haven't beaten it yet, but I've been playing a game called Dandara. I think I'm pretty close to the end. Boken, you were kind of curious about this one?
Not curious, but I've heard about it. I've seen images of it, and I know the art style is really good.
Yeah.
And I think when it came out, which was, 5 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to pick it up, and then I heard the gameplay isn't that great. Like, it has a cool idea, but it doesn't do that much with it.
No, I don't agree with that. No, I don't agree with that.
It has some kind of gameplay gimmick where you're just going up and down walls or something, I remember. Right? Sort
of. So, you can only walk on salt. So, like, on the walls and stuff, there's these white patches on the floor or on the ceilings, and that's salt. And so you can only jump from those areas. And you can't walk either. You have to basically do this like really quick jump.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what's really cool about those is that you'll get into this flow state where you're just like bouncing off the walls really quickly. You'll just be jumping around like ba 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 ba. And it's really the traversal in that game is extremely fun. And I mean, I will admit that like maybe mechanically, like the intrinsic mechanics for the character herself is not like the deepest thing in the world, but like the game has such a great sense of variety. Like the game is always constantly throwing something new at you. It's a tough game. Like this is not an easy game. There are times where I died like multiple times, and it was tough figuring out like what I was supposed to do. Its boss fights are also fucking incredible. Like the boss fights are a really good spectacle. I fought two of them so far. They weren't super tough, but they were still like really fun to fight because they were really dynamic and it really forced you to really consider your surroundings. And that's something that the game is really good about. Is it really gets you to pay really close attention to the environment because it's also a Metroidvania. So everything's like interconnected, and you get different abilities as you play through the game, and these allow you to unlock certain areas, and you can get like more upgrades and stuff. And I wouldn't say like the upgrades like fundamentally change how you play the game, but they are like, there are some instances where like there's one ability that all it lets you do is like there's certain platforms you couldn't do anything with. Well, now that you have the ability, when you stand on the platform, you can flip it. So it's not like a huge shift mechanically, but in those specific areas where you can use that ability, it does shift how you interact with those areas. So like an area with plenty of those platforms that was a pain in the butt before because they were kind of in your way, now you can take advantage of them, and now it makes that area a lot more manageable, and you can it also probably lead you to an area you couldn't go to before. So yeah, I think this game's sick. I mean, I don't know why anyone would complain about it. I think it's fucking awesome. I did remember seeing some Steam reviews of people going, "Oh, I don't like the controls. This sucks." No, that's a skill issue, mate. You suck. Get good.
Damn.
Yeah.
Punching down.
I'm punching
up, Daniel.
I'm punching down on those that are not good enough to hang.
Punching back into the past when people actually played this.
But yeah, I think it's a pretty sick game if you want to play something that's just really quick and unique, and it has a very it's not story driven. This is basically something that you want to play just for the gameplay, basically.
Also, it's Brazilian, right? Like,
I think so. Yeah,
that's probably worth supporting.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll talk about one more thing and then we can move on. So I wanted real quick to talk about this guy named Tim Rogers.
No, the hyperthymesia guy.
Yes, he has hyperthymesia, which, to quickly explain, it's someone that has an insanely good memory. They're able to recall personal events in their lives with a lot of clarity. And the reason I'm bringing him up is simply because he released a new
like
video.
Sheldon Cooper.
Yeah, like Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory. So, like, do we want to tell people what happened? We had like a 5-minute talk about him and we lost that audio. It was like a whole thing.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna bring it up, but okay, sure, yeah.
We spoke and started talking.
There was a lot of slander.
Sheldon Cooper.
Yeah. There was a lot of slander against certain people that thankfully is now no longer in the episode.
We can redo it.
No. Yeah, so my computer crashed for some reason, which I know I think that's like one of the only times it's ever done that. So I don't know what happened, but
Like Sheldon fucking Cooper.
and yeah, we're now redoing this section. Whatever. The point is, I think Tim's super cool guy. He's very interesting. And his YouTube channel, Action Button, I recommend checking him out. He's like one of my favorite YouTubers. He recently released a video on a game called Boku no Natsuyatsumi, which is a pretty quaint little game that never made it outside of Japan. You play as this little kid that goes to the countryside to live with his aunt and his uncle and his cousins for like a month for summer vacation. And that's the game, basically. You're just like spending summer vacation with these people, and you can like catch bugs and shit, and you can like play with other kids and have your beetles fight each other and rip each other apart. You can go fishing.
That's
and
like,
it's like
JoJo Part 8.
Is it really?
Yeah, there's a scene where they're fighting with bugs.
I mean, to be fair, that does sound like JoJo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In JoJo Part 5, there was an episode where they were fighting rats.
No,
No, sorry, there was 4, not 5.
there's also 5. Because the guy, he shrinks Narancia, and Narancia has like, no, it's a spider.
Yeah, and he goes into the sewer.
There's also that
That's good.
episode of Rick and Morty where he changes himself into a pickle. Do you guys ever see that one?
Oh, wow. I never heard about that. Is it called Pickle Rick?
Yeah.
Anyways, Szechuan sauce. This episode in particular...
Maybe, do you think
I
Rick has hyperthymesia?
Probably.
We need to
Probably.
stop this.
Anyways. The reason I want to talk about this in particular is because Tim Rogers, suffering from hyperthymesia, which gives him like crazy memory, he talks about it in the other videos, but in this one in particular, he talks a lot about like his personal life and kind of growing up with this condition and kind of what it's like. And I thought it was really fascinating, and also because like it seems like something that's really useful, like to have like this fucking crazy memory. And he's like, no, it's actually a pain in the ass. And the way he describes it, it's like he's like, listen, you know how you have like a memory of like an awkward event in your life that's like really cringeworthy, and it's like, ooh, but like you remember for a little bit and then it just kind of passes. But for him, he has to like relive that experience like 20 times a day, every minute of the day. You know, I'm like, holy shit, that sounds fucking awful. But in the video, I guess because the game is about childhood and the game's about like, you know, kind of enjoying being a kid and going on adventures and stuff, it made him want to go back to his childhood home and to see what that area is like now. And you're kind of like half the video is him like legitimately talking about the game and kind of breaking it down. The other half of the video is also him just like being like very open about his life and his like past experiences, and being self-deprecating, and it was quite the journey of a video. It's a 6-hour video though, so yeah, that's the thing though. It's gonna take you a couple of sittings to get through, but I think it's worth going through because one, the game he's talking about, while on paper sounds really boring, it's like, why the fuck would I want to hear about or play a game about a kid that's like catching bugs and shit? But it's actually like a really quaint and like really interesting little game. So and also I think Tim himself is kind of like a fascinating guy. So I think it does make for like a really interesting video to watch. And I recommended his other videos too. They're all great. But yeah, just wanted to signal boost my boy. I think he makes good shit. I think I think he's worth checking out. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
I love how it's like a 6-hour video about a game that I've never heard of. And he has like an entire section in the video where he's just like talking about his own childhood. I'm like, man, come on.
Hey, it's his video. He can talk about whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, but like 6 hours is already so daunting. And I don't know who this guy is.
Okay, well, that's fair.
That's
could
fair,
watch but
Rise of the Skywalker 2.5 times in that time.
Why would you want to do that to yourself?
That's a very entertaining movie.
No, it's not.
I don't know if you've seen it, but it's
yeah,
it's quite the experience.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it. Unfortunately, the movie fucking sucks so bad. I would much rather watch Tim Rogers than watch Rise of the Skywalker ever again. I would rather sit through that 6-hour video twice than watch Rise of the Skywalker. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about some Dark Knight Rises, because there's a lot to talk about. Okay, folks, it's time. It's time to wrap up this trilogy. It's time for Dark Knight Rises.
Yes.
The worst of the bunch. I'm saying it right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
What an uncontroversial opinion to have. So, I don't know how you guys felt. Well, Acer didn't need to rewatch it because he's very familiar with these movies. But I don't know about you, Boken. But when I first watched The Dark Knight, in the beginning, I was like, oh, I don't know about this. And then as the movie went on, it got better and better. And I was just like, you know what? Dark Knight's still pretty good. The opposite happened to me with Dark Knight Rises, where at first I was bracing myself for it to be really bad. And at first I was like, you know what? It's not particularly good, but this movie's not like terrible. And then as the movie went on, it just kept getting worse and worse until by the end of it, I was just like, fuck this movie.
Pretty much the exact same thing with me. Because I went into it knowing I hated it. And I was kind of surprised by some of the earlier scenes where I was like, oh, okay, maybe there is more to it than I thought or than I remembered. And then, anything after a certain point involving Bane's plan is just so shitty and so dumb.
I feel like when Bruce Wayne is thrown into the hole in particular, like that was especially when the movie just started to just turn to shit.
Yeah. I think this is a very fine follow-up to The Dark Knight right up until the final battle with Bane. If you just watch like that sort of, I think that's like the first third or so of the movie. I think that's like pretty solid. The rest of the movie, I feel like you made a lot of decisions that I don't like.
You don't mean the final battle, you mean the first battle.
So the first battle. I think the movie is great, right? Except for the final 10 minutes. No, like the first battle with Bane, I quite like.
Yes.
I love the contrast between the first battle with Bane and the second battle, because the first battle is like lit in darkness and it's like wet water like raining down everywhere, and they're like on this, like it's just like, it's so beautiful, and it's like, holy shit, this Batman like using darkness as his like as a tool, and like in this Christopher Nolan universe he's doing this with his gadgets, and it's like, that's kind of cool. And then in the second fight it's just like, nah, they're just in Chicago. And the
just an open street brawling each other in the daylight.
And the choreography is so bad in the second fight.
Yeah, I also thought it was a real cop-out that, like, oh, he just punched his mask a couple of times, and Bane was just like, no!
Yeah.
Oh, God, the Bane voice is terrible.
Okay, let's structure this a bit.
Yeah.
Let's not go all over the place again.
Okay.
I'm wondering, do we want to talk about the performances at some point?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Sure.
Okay, so
Okay, let's talk about the characters in the casting first.
yeah, sure.
I thought Catwoman was cast very well. I thought the actress did a really good job. I think Catwoman was one of the best parts of the movie.
I fucking hate Catwoman, and I think I hate
Really?
Anne Hathaway.
Why does everyone hate Anne Hathaway? She's lovely.
Why?
I only know her from 2 movies, and she was shitty in both.
Ella
Like the other
Enchanted?
one.
I don't
The other
know.
one
I
is
don't know about
Interstellar.
those.
No, she's good
I
in
don't think-
Interstellar.
No, she's awful.
No.
She's whiny and annoying.
Yeah.
And she's like, in this movie, I fucking hate Catwoman so much. A, Catwoman doesn't need to be in this movie. B,
Fair.
I fucking hate
I
her
agree.
dumb one-liners, her sassy attitude, you know. I don't know if that makes me a misogynist or something, but I fucking wanted her
Maybe.
to take
Yes.
this seriously at some point.
Okay. So the only part of the movie where Catwoman really made me go, what the fuck, was when Batman was like, hey, no guns, no killing. And she's like, oh, what's the fun in that? And I was like, Catwoman's not a fucking bloodthirsty psychopath. Where'd this come from?
She's not that competent, but something goes her way and she's all like, oh yeah, I did that. I fucking hate her.
I like her in the beginning, where she's just like a cat burglar who sneaks into Wayne Manor. I think if you have her in the movie in that role, and then she's out of the movie after she steals the pearls, that's fine. But like, I think just this is gonna be a structured conversation. The problem with this movie, in like the big issue problem here, is that you're adapting The Dark Knight Returns, and you're adapting Nightfall, and you're adapting No Man's Land, and you have like this story about Catwoman in it as well, and you're also paying off the whole League of Shadows stuff from the first one.
It's too many.
And the Death Act from the... It's like, you need to cut half of this shit out. There's way too much going on here.
Yeah.
It's trying to balance too many plates at once, and a lot of those plates just end up crashing at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
That's another thing. This movie's so fucking long. Almost 3 fucking hours. 2 hours and 40 minutes. After a certain point, I was just like, fuck, let it end.
The original cut of the movie was 4 hours.
Let's continue with the other characters.
Yeah.
I mean,
Gordon?
Batman is whatever. I think Michael Caine is this is like, out of the 3 movies, I think this is Michael Caine's best performance.
Sure.
Sure. I think I think he shines in this one, yeah.
Yeah. He has some really good, like that scene where, there was some scene where he just sort of talks and starts, like,
he starts crying a little bit.
And crying a bit, yeah.
Yeah, and then he's fired.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, that was a good scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a... Yeah.
And I think the other characters are, like, Batman, what the fuck is his name?
Christian Bale?
Christian
Gordon?
Bale is normal. Lucius Fox is standard.
I think
Yeah,
I think Gary Oldman, I think the performance he gives is notably worse than what he did in Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. Because his performance is all up here and everything he says, it's like this. It's like, this is not a Harry Potter movie. Actually act like do real acting, man. What are you doing here? The scene where he's in the hospital talking to Bruce Wayne, that's good. Everything else with him, I think it's really bad in this movie. Like, again, he is good right up, like, I think he also kind of goes off the cliff after the first Bane fight. Because it's all like shouty, weird, whispery stuff. Right? When he's giving the speech and he's like, he's gonna reveal about Harvey Dent and how, like, Two-Face and all that, and he's like, no, I'm not going to. It's like, like the little glimmer in the eye. But yeah, then he's like hanging out with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and that's another thing. Like, you have Robin in the movie, and it's like you don't like
totally worthless.
Why?
Yeah,
Why?
because they hung out at it doing Inception, I guess. But like, this character, like yeah,
Totally pointless.
There's
totally pointless.
Legitimately, you could have taken every single Robin scene and just replaced him with Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, Gordon.
All
maybe
everything
Catwoman if
Robin
you wanted
did could
to.
have been. Yeah, sure, but just make it Gordon because he's the policeman.
Yeah,
The fuck do you need Robin for?
yeah, yeah.
And then you have Bane, who I just can't take seriously. I think he has some cool quotes, honestly.
For you.
I don't even mind that he's. I mean, Bane obviously normally. I don't. Maybe in the comics it's different, but he's the muscle usually. He's not a political revolutionary.
No. Bane,
but I.
That's the
don't
thing
mind
about
this.
Bane. Bane is super smart. Like in the
Okay.
comics, he's always been. It's only in Batman and Robin, that Joel Schumacher movie, that Bane is like a big, brawly, muscly guy. Bane's most dangerous weapon is his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the voice sounded so fucking bad. Like, I don't know. And you can clearly tell watching it, like, it was dubbed over, right? Like, and it
Yeah.
just.
He had to
It-
redo the voice because when the first trailer came out, people didn't know what he was saying. So Tom Hardy had to come back into the studio and redo all the lines. And like when you compare the original trailers, like the scene there and the acting choices he made there to the acting choices in the final movie, there are like moments where you're like, well, no, this is clearly a worse reading of this that wound up in the final film.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
like his
bad.
intonation is so off.
Yeah.
In many lines, and then it's just the sound mixing is so terrible because, like, I
It doesn't
remember
s-
I
it
remember
doesn't
people
feel like-
complaining that you can't understand him. I could
Uh-huh.
understand him perfectly, or maybe there was the subtitles, but it's like his voice is so loud that it feels like it comes from everywhere, whereas the other is like normal movie audio localization.
Right. It doesn't feel like the voice that you're hearing is coming from him.
No, it's like a narrator.
Yeah, it was so bizarre, and it ripped me out of the movie every single time. It just felt so off and it's unnatural.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't help that Christian Bale doubled down on the Dark Knight voice. Like in Batman Begins, his Batman voice was really good. Like there's one scene where he's like, "Swear to me," and that's like a bad voice. But mostly he just talks kind of like this, and that's kind of good. In Dark Knight, he went like full gravelly, and people made memes about that for years. And in The Dark Knight Rises, he's even more gravelly, and it's like, man, you needed to pull that back, because this is like the worst part of The Dark Knight, which is like a perfect movie. But if there's the biggest issue with it, it's that you're doing that goofy voice, and it's like it's becoming worse in this movie. And it, like, you have Batman doing a weird voice, you have Bane doing a weird voice, you have Gordon doing a weird voice.
There's also that one scene where fucking Catwoman ghosts him, and he's like, "Ugh, so that's what it feels like," which is not it's a funny scene, but he's still doing the voice to himself with nobody around.
Are we sure that it's still not a voice changer?
I'm willing to say it's a voice changer just for the sake of otherwise it doesn't make any sense. But it's never mentioned.
Probably. That's the thing. We have no fucking clue. And if it is a voice changer, why make it sound like that?
Yeah.
He should sound more like the Sandman or something. Sandman has a fucking amazing voice. Sound like a fucking demon.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream.
A dream. Mm-mm-mm-mm.
So then
Spoken.
we have the first scene, which
Yeah.
also has been memed to hell and back.
You're a
was
big
kind of-
guy.
It was kind of fun just rewatching that.
Yeah. I will say
like-
they really did a good job of making Bane imposing. like the composition of every scene he's in, like, because Tom Hardy is a small little guy, but like he's got like he's the way they shoot him, he like looks gigantic, and he like, even though the voice is shit, the performance, like the physical performance is really good.
It's good.
Just like when he puts like his fingers on the chin of that, no, on the shoulders of that guy, it's like, do you feel in charge? And it's like all of a sudden,
yeah, that was good.
Yeah, like Ben Mendelsohn is shouting there, and it's like, oh, the dynamics of power have so shifted, you don't even know.
Yeah, and it's like, credit to Tom Hardy, the same, credit to Carl Urban and Judge Dredd. It's like you see his face once, in a flashback, and otherwise he stays behind the mask, and his performance is all physical, There doesn't have the vain actor thing of, I need to show people that this is me.
Doesn't
Shout
have
out
that,
to
Mandalorian thing where it's like, I have to take off the mask.
Yeah, shout out to the Carl Urban Judge movie. That was fucking the Dredd movie. That movie was really good.
I only watched like the first 30 minutes. I didn't go back, but I feel like I should.
You should. That
It's
movie
a
is
good movie.
really, that movie's really good.
Yeah.
One of those rare comic book movies that actually like has a small scale and does something with it.
It feels like it has its own unique like voice as a
Bogan,
film.
Are you saying The Dark Knight Rises doesn't have a small scale?
Okay,
It's all in one city.
So I wanted to bring this up real quick. Is it me, or is Bane's plot just an exaggerated version of what Ra's al Ghul tried to do in Batman Begins?
Dude, Bane's plot makes no sense.
Yeah.
But like
All of my notes are about how Bane's plan makes no sense whatsoever.
It's
wanna hear
very
these notes.
elaborate.
Needlessly so, yes.
I don't know if we should get to this right now. I don't. But do we need to talk about the setup of this movie? I don't know.
Go ahead.
Nah,
Talk about whatever you want. It's our podcast. Talk about whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. I just...
Oh, wait. Before we do, one final thing on the casting. The new cop, who's like, who cares about a bunch of bank robbers? I'm gonna get the guy who killed Harvey Dent. Like, Gordon's pal. I loved him. He was good. But he should have just been Bullock. They should have just made that Bullock.
But like that guy served like no purpose in the story. I was
absolutely.
wondering
He was completely.
the guy?
I was wondering, like, I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Why are they focusing on him? What's the fucking point?
I
Is
agree.
that the guy where he goes to his door and tries to convince him to come back?
Yeah, and he doesn't.
And then he eventually does, and then in the next shot he's just dead on the ground. And I was like, okay.
It's like, yeah,
What
who
was
cares?
the point of that?
Like, who fucking cares?
Look, character did not need to be in the movie. Does nothing. I just think the performance is pretty good.
No, sure, I'm not gonna say it was a bad performance. Just this is more of a writing issue of just like, why have this character that serves no real purpose?
Yeah. It was kind of like it symbolized them getting more people in the city on their side, I guess, to fight. Him coming back symbolized that, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's not like
who
it
cares?
mattered.
Like that point would have hit harder if it was a character that like we actually cared about, not some fucking rando that appears a couple of times on screen and we have like zero connection with.
What I found really funny was when they said, "Whoa, someone get this hothead out of here," because I remember that being a meme, but I forgot that scene existed. It's like,
wait, what scene?
Watching the actual scene, it's like Robin, like John, what's his name? Joseph
Gordon-Levitt, yeah.
He's not even like arguing very enthusiastically. He's just like, hey, maybe we shouldn't go down there. And whoa, someone get this hothead out of here.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
Yeah, I also love get every cop in the city underground. It's like you probably don't need every cop.
Yeah, every single cop.
I will say this though, even though having Robin in this movie was completely pointless, Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Robin is a good choice. Like, I could see him as being a good Robin.
Yeah, like, he's too old for it, obviously, now. But, like, him playing Nightwing in 2012 when this came out, that's a good casting choice.
Yes,
Yep.
that's what I'm
Totally.
saying.
He's got, like, that sort of smarmy Dick Grayson charm to him. I love that when he and Christian Bale stand next to each other, Christian Bale is, like, twice his size, and that's, like, yeah, that's perfect, because Dick Grayson, he's a small little guy. That's great.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. It's a shame. He's kind of wasted, though, because, like, we could have had these 3 movies just that focused exclusively on Batman and not introduce Robin at all whatsoever, and it would have been perfectly fine. Like, it just felt like they shoved him in here just so they can go, see, we didn't forget about Robin.
Yeah. Do you think he
Asa, do you
survived?
know
Like, who
if they had
cares?
plans with Robin?
No. It's funny because, like, at the end he gets the suit in the cave, and it's like,
Yeah.
he's not gonna survive, man. He doesn't have any of that ninja training. What are you doing?
Yeah, that was really weird too, right? Like, it felt like they were setting up for something else, but that didn't go anywhere,
Yeah.
which is a lot of this movie.
Well, okay, let's get into the second half. Like, the movie basically completely drops off a cliff once Batman is thrown into the prison. The fight,
Yes.
the fight is okay. Him against Bane. Obviously, you know,
Yeah,
the backbreaking is coming.
Yeah, I do like the idea that, like, Bane is already aware of all of Batman's tricks because he was also trained under Ra's al Ghul, and he was like, oh, you think the darkness will help you? Nah, bitch. And he just fucking beats his ass. Like, that, you know, I feel like the choreography could have been better for that fight, but, like, conceptually, there were some good ideas.
I think that was the best superhero fight we had gotten up until that point in any movie.
I don't know
maybe
about
with the
that.
exception of, like, The Incredibles, but, like, what else prior to 2012 compares to that that choreography?
I do like the visuals of that fight, like them being in this kind of grungy, like, sewer-like place with the water, like that was really cool, and I
Yeah.
think it added to the dynamic, kind of like visceral nature of the fight, like the kind of dingy, kind of grunginess of the fight.
I think the choreography was pretty good. Like, it was very physical, and like Bane sort of, he's not nimble,
My
but
problem
he's
with the fight.
fast.
Yeah.
My problem with the fight where it was that there were certain shots where it felt kind of like Bane did like this little twirly jump punch thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like that doesn't connect. That didn't connect. Like,
Nah.
you could tell, like, that just didn't look right.
My
But
favorite
that was really my only problem with the fight.
My favorite part of the fight is when he goes, like, you think darkness is your ally, does that whole thing, and then he just grabs him out of the darkness with, like, one hand, and it's like, how strong is this guy?
yeah. Well, I mean, Bane is pretty tough. Like, at the end of the movie, he's like punching the pillar and he's like breaking it.
Yeah, and that's shitty. That's so bad because it's like he misses Batman, so he just keeps punching the pillar, and it's like, I get that you're angry, but calm the fuck down, man. What is this?
Well, it's not that he's angry, he's in pain.
Yeah, but it's like he's just punching a pillar, man. Also, can I run something by you, which me and my friend have talked about for a really long time? Okay, so
Okay.
do you remember how Batman is incapacitated at the end after fighting Bane? He beats him, and then Talia stabs him in the side.
Stabs him in the back, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Here's the problem that I have with that scene. And this is a way you instantly make, like, the movie a bit better. Is because Batman, he comes back, and when he's like, light it up, and they light it up, and he's like wearing his Dark Knight uniform again, and it's like, oh my god, Batman's back. Wouldn't it have made more sense if he was wearing the Batman Begins suit? Because, like, the Bane would have gotten all of the other stuff. And then, when Talia tries to stab him, remember the line Morgan Freeman gave in Batman Begins?
No.
Batman asked him like if it's bulletproof or whatever, and Morgan Freeman goes, and this is what Batman says to Talia after she tries to stab him. He goes, "This sucker will stop a knife," and Batman says that to Talia, and then he does a Fortnite dance.
Because the weird thing about that knife stabbing is that it's right after that scene, it's forgotten about.
Yeah. It's also like Catwoman just drives in and shoots Bane. It's like, this is your villain, and it's just like, okay, he's just gone now?
Yeah, he just disappears. Yep. We don't get a shot of him dying. He doesn't come back. Like, he should be, like, severely wounded and just crawling back, trying to still stop Batman or something. No, he's just gone.
Yeah. Bane is built up throughout the entire movie only to be discarded in the most anticlimactic, unsatisfying way possible.
Yeah. You didn't even, like, she could have just had Talia stabs Batman. Like stabs him pretty bad. And then she just looks at Bane and is like, "Thank you for your sacrifice," and walks away. And then Bane dies, and then Batman is just like dying, and then Catwoman comes and she manages to heal him. It's like there are so many ways that this scene isn't bad, and you didn't do that. You just made it endlessly long for no reason.
Oh yeah. Are we gonna talk about the fucking twist with her?
Let's talk about Bane's plan first.
Okay, all right. I'll let you. You've been wanting to talk about that, so I'm going to let you go.
Because I need to
also
also
been sitting on this for like a month.
Well, 2 weeks, but I'm trying to also rebuild this in my mind. Like, what is Bane's actual plan? He takes over Gotham City.
Yeah.
He takes over that nuclear reactor thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he shoots the scientist who could actually stop the explosion.
Yeah.
And then he basically takes Gotham hostage. Yes. And it's like, no, the government can't come in because then I'm just blowing up this whole city anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But his plan is also to give them hope because he wants them to be hopeful before he kills them. Like, he's of the opinion that this is the biggest punishment, is keep them hopeful they might survive and then they die anyway.
Yeah, well, he's doing that to torture Batman.
But he's also doing that to torture the city.
Does he say that?
Right, because...
that's
he has a hatred against the city. He wants
when he's in the cell with Batman. He's like...
Yeah. Well, he's just trying to complete what Ra's al Ghul started.
Yeah.
And Ra's al Ghul wasn't trying to get back at Batman. He was trying to, get back at the city.
Yeah, but he was also
for some reason.
Bane was also very much about like, no, I'm gonna torture you, Batman. I'm gonna make you watch as I destroy your city.
But then at the same time, Bane also has this weird political thing where he's like, oh, eat the rich, everything is corrupt, and I'm going to free you. We're gonna have a court of the people that Scarecrow for some reason is the judge in.
Yeah, that was weird. It's like, why him?
It's
who should have been the judge is that guy from The Dark Knight who was like, I'm the brains of the organization. It should have been him. Or it should have been fucking Two-Face, who ideally would have been like not dead if he'd have known he was going to make another movie.
Yeah. This movie had kind of like a weird social commentary as well about like eating the rich. Even like Catwoman was... I thought it was kind of a good line when she was just like, we're going to make you pay for taking so much and leaving us with so little. And I was just like, damn, Catwoman. That was pretty based. But like, the movie doesn't really do anything with this.
No, because, and it's like, these are all different aspects to Bane's plan that just don't mesh together. Like, he can't be the savior and the liberator of the city if he's also taking them hostage with a nuclear bomb. And he's like driving the bomb through the streets of Gotham in like
don't you understand?
Trucks.
Don't you understand? He is both their devil and their angle.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
I think.
What are you trying to do?
So to unravel this a bit, I think the whole political angle, I don't think that's actually any way part of his plan. I think he's just using that to sort of get people on his side. And he doesn't release the prisoners of Harvey Dent because they were unjustly imprisoned. He releases them because now people, like, you have these violent criminals in the streets, that's gonna disrupt, like, protests, and that's gonna, like, you're just creating chaos and instability, and that's gonna keep people scared. The court of the people, like, he's not doing that because he believes in it, he's doing it because he knows that, like, when you can ferment fear amongst people, you can, like, make them paranoid, then you can make them go along with whatever. I think he's just using, like, he's just pulling all of these political levers to try to, like, get people scared and get people behind him, like, in their fear. So I don't think, like, the politics angle of his plan goes any further than that.
But he has the fear angle with the nuclear bomb threat. But he also, like, a lot of people don't seem scared. A lot of people also feel empowered by this revolution. That is shown.
Sure. Yeah,
like when they free the prisoners, people are celebrating.
Yeah, because he's like,
for some dumb reason.
I feel it's like I think it's kind of like well, like we first of all, we arrest all the cops. So any ability you had on a local level to deal with this threat, that's gone. And then we free the prisoners, and it's like, you people you think this is a good thing, but it's actually not a good thing, because these aren't like your average day. Just I'm Joe Johnson. I smoked weed once, and now I'm in prison for 20 years.
Yeah,
and these are like the worst criminals Gotham ever had, and it's like you pump them back. I think it's this because at the beginning you have like Jim Gordon retiring, and there's that line where the guy's like, "Do you think the mayor's gonna retire him?" And it's like, "No, he's a war hero." And the guy goes, "Yeah, but this is peacetime. We don't need a war hero." And I think the idea there is that the war is so far removed at this point that people kind of forgot what, like, there's another line where Gordon says, where he's like, there's a point you reach in this battle where the walls that are supposed to, like, contain, like, the wall separating good and evil actually just begins to stop you from actually getting the job done. So I hope you're lucky and you have a friend who's willing to break the line so that you don't have to. I think that's kind of what Bane is doing, what he's playing at, where it's like, people have kind of forgotten how crazy things were, and because they're so removed from all these threats, because these threats were dealt with, they don't fully understand the ramifications of allowing these people back onto the streets, and then he's able to play off of that. So I don't think he actually has a political angle. I think that's completely done to get people, get them scared and get them to behave themselves.
But again, the people in the courtroom, for example, they're not scared.
No, but they're subservient to his power, like to the power that he's established there. Like the people who oppose him, he makes them scared, and the people who don't oppose him, they either just don't oppose him or they're on his side. I don't think there's anything.
They think, oh yeah, we the people have, like, we are judging the corrupt elites.
Yeah.
And see that's the part where, okay, Catwoman comes into this on thematic level, where she's also coming from, I don't know, some kind of poor household, and she's just ripping off the rich and stealing from them. And it's like, gives a lot of moral speeches about, well, what the fuck do you know? You always had money. So they're clearly trying to implement this idea that there's, like, social divide in Gotham City, and people are angry about the rich. But at the same time, as you said, the movie begins with, no, this is peacetime. We did the Dent Act, and things have never been as peachy as now. So these are two different, like, themes that don't really work together.
Well,
and then that's why it's so weird when Bane reveals the truth about Harvey Dent. Like, oh, the corrupt elites have lied to you. Harvey Dent didn't die a hero. It's like, who fucking cares, man? Like, the crime is down and we're living a better life than we had before.
Well, I also thought it was weird that, like, Gordon had that shit written down.
Yeah.
That's also super weird.
That was so dumb.
Whereas, like, well, we just kidnapped. And it's also like, Bane reads that and nobody's like, is that real? Like nobody's like
everyone
he's
immediately
just reading
accepts
a piece of
it.
paper.
Yeah.
He could have just pulled this paper out of his fucking ass. Like,
Yeah, it would have been better if he had like, because do you guys remember? This is like
it would have been more believable if he just had Gordon with him and he forced Gordon to say it. To it's like, say the truth, admit the truth.
well, actually,
you know,
you can do it even better. Because do you guys remember like how the last movie ended? The last movie ended with Batman starting like the Patriot Act for like one night, where I'm gonna collect everybody's data and like I'm gonna spy on literally everyone, and I'm gonna break every law in the world, and I'm gonna spy on everybody so that I can find this fucking guy. Imagine if Bane would have been able to recover a recording of the Batman Harvey Dent confrontation. Yeah, that's how you do it. And it's like, well, Lucius Fox deleted all of it. Yeah, but like maybe like there was some backup server somewhere or whatever. But it's like you can then you kind of have like, look, Batman, all those laws that you broke to like get the guy. Well, now because you broke those rules, all of it gets undone, and that's like another way to torture Batman. Now, I'm not a screenwriter, but this is how I think you should make a movie, right?
I do think it would have been an interesting conflict where like there's this proof that like Harvey Dent was a piece of shit, but Batman also did something that's extremely morally questionable. He did it for the sake of getting Joker, but like he did it in a way that is not very ethical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that again goes to that theme where Gordon was talking about, where it's like, you know, sometimes you do have to break the laws in order to get the guy. And it's like, you know, you have John Blake is like the rookie, and he's like, I don't know, man, your hands look pretty dirty to me. And it's like, well, you can say that, but you've never been there. You've never actually had to like do this job. You're just a kid. I'm Gary Oldman, you asshole.
Yeah, and then by the end of the movie, he completely changes his tune, and he's just like, "You're right. This shit ain't good enough. I can't handle it. This is the injustice." It's like, dude, shut up. You're barely a character in this fucking movie.
Okay, so now that we've talked about it, here's kind of where I would rewrite the story and to make Bane's plan make more sense. Because I like the political angle. I like the revolutionary angle. You just need a different outset. So you need to start, for example, with Gotham being scared of the Dent Act. Like, let's say the Dent Act went through, and okay, a lot of prisoners are now in prison, and the streets are safer, but then there's sort of this paranoia that maybe you step out of line because there's new guidelines to police behavior or whatever, and people are scared to just do anything in case the police stops by. So it's a bit about police brutality or whatever. So, and then Bane can come in and actually play the political, revolutionary, reveal what truly happened to Dent, and then the people have a reason to believe him. So then he could lead this revolt against the cops and the rich and the elites, only for him to reveal at the end that, no, I'm actually not a political savior. I was just trying to make you all hopeful to blow up the city. Yeah. And that's then the final twist. You don't need Talia al Ghul. You just make the final twist. No, Bane was actually working for the League of Shadows, and you're all fucked.
Yeah, and you don't need the bomb. You can just have it be like, well, Ra's al Ghul tried to destroy Gotham with economics. Then he tried to destroy it with a gas, and he tried to make people destroy each other. I'm gonna try to destroy Gotham by manipulating this class war. And you don't need the bomb. You don't need to do No Man's Land. You don't there's so many unnecessary parts of this movie that you can just sort of drag out of it. And it's much tighter and more cohesive.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
Why does everyone give so much of a fuck about Gotham?
It's America City, man.
Who cares?
The rest of the world and the rest of America just doesn't exist.
It's why Gotham? Who gives a shit? Why is it so important?
What are you talking about? If some guy took New York City hostage, do you think people would be like, whatever?
No. No, I mean for the villains. Why does
Oh.
Ra's al Ghul?
Oh,
why-
yeah.
Why does Ra's al Ghul care so much? Why does Bane care so much about getting rid of Gotham? Like, why?
Look, there is an answer, but the real answer is that because this is a superhero comic book, it's just a conceit. You just kind of have to accept it. The idea is like, well, this is Batman's turf, and he needs to keep it clean, and now these guys come to make it filthy. The idea is that, they've been, like, remember in Batman Begins where he's like, every time a civilization reaches its apex, we're there to bring them back to, like ground zero. There's like, we burnt Rome and sacked Constantinople, and now we're going to destroy Gotham. But it's like, and I think we talked about this in the Batman Begins episode, where it's like, but Gotham sucks. Gotham hasn't reached like an apex. It sucks.
Yeah.
It's just a den of criminals and sex pests and weirdos, man. What are you talking about?
And Gotham always sucked.
Why not
Because
go to
Raz,
Toronto?
you fucking used economics to like turn it into a shithole for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Like, I get why Batman cares. That's where he grew up. That he
Sure.
wants to protect his city. That's fine. Again, I'm just questioning the motives of the villains. Where it's like, what are you doing? But yeah, I guess you're right. It's just a conceit. It's like, it's Batman's turf. Whatever.
Yeah.
At least for like other villains, like Joker is just chaos incarnate. That's fine. Other villains, it's like, well, Penguin is a mobster. He makes a lot of money in Gotham. That's fine. But like these like grander plans just start. It's where it starts breaking apart, and it's just like, why do you care?
Yeah. That's no crime in the rest of the world.
Yeah.
It's all about Gotham, baby.
Gotham, baby.
So then we go to the twist that
the
Talia al
twist.
Ghul, or what the fuck ever her name is. She's actually
Yeah.
Talia al Ghul, and she is now completely replacing Bane's character
As the villain.
as the villain and as the motivation behind everything. And they try to explain it, and it's so dumb. Like they bring out the flashback of no, actually it was the girl who climbed out of the pit. Which, by the way, that climb doesn't look that difficult. I don't know, but it was the girl that climbed out of the pit, and then Raz later went into the pit. But he decided not to help Bane? Was that it?
No, they did
Well-
help Bane, but he didn't like Bane. And Bane was like an extremist, so he eventually just banned Bane from the League of Shadows.
Oh yeah, right.
Right.
He banned
Excommunicated
Bane,
him.
excommunicated him. But Talia loves Bane, or is like has a deep connection to him.
Yes.
And then it's like blah blah blah. But we decided then to just do Ra's al Ghul's bidding anyway. Like after he died, we didn't really agree with him. We didn't like my father. But after he died, we were like, yo, fuck this Batman guy, man.
Yeah.
Gotham's gonna get it.
And, you could do a story
Yeah.
where it's like, Bruce, my father abandoned me to rot in a prison while he was hanging out and training you because you're the kid he really wanted. And you could, like, make that story. Or, like, that's not necessarily the best story or anything, but it's like, then she has a reason to want to go after Batman.
Yeah, I don't see why the death of Ra's al Ghul, who, by the way, was attacking Gotham,
Yeah.
it's not like Batman went after him. Fucking
No.
Ra's al Ghul came to Batman and died trying to destroy a fucking city. I don't know why that motivates her to let go of her grievance against her father.
Yeah. How did you guys like when Liam Neeson came back for that little scene?
Oh
I
yeah,
love
when
that.
he was
That little cameo.
Liam Neeson is cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
He also has a very imposing presence.
He does. He does have an imposing presence. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, another one is like, why is Batman retired? He's been Batmaning for 2 years by the point of Dark Knight, if that. And he retires for 8 years. And it's like, they build a statue to Batman.
now he has a
it's
cane.
Like, they talk about Batman in hushed tones. It's like, oh, he killed her. It's like, He wouldn't be a legend. He would just be that weird guy who dressed up as a bat 8 years ago and was seen a few times.
But
I
the
guess
city
he had a
hates
pretty
him,
big
right?
car.
I guess he couldn't show himself outside anymore because now the whole city hates him for killing Dent.
Yeah,
Don't
but
you
it's
think
also
it's
like
also
he won. He solved the crime problem, and he just had to sacrifice Batman, and then he just rots in his home waiting for crime to come back. And it's like
Yeah.
that. Like no, but like I like
am nothing
that.
without
I
this.
like that you have this take of Bruce Wayne who's just like, no, my life doesn't matter anymore. I'm just sitting and waiting until I can be Batman again. And Alfred just looks over him for like 8 years and is like, man, you know, you messed up, boy. But I don't know. I feel like they could have done something more with either do something more with that, or maybe just he didn't retire. Maybe just have Batman like acting on like, why doesn't Batman go after white collar crime? Like instead of beating up mobsters, he's beating up like corrupt politicians and big businessmen who are like poisoning the water supply or whatever. And then he plays into that whole theme of like, you know, you have this class divide, but Batman like, you know, it's not rich versus poor, it's these corrupt assholes versus everybody. And it's like you can have Batman be like the good rich guy.
Yeah, maybe Bruce Wayne gets more active in his company and gets more active in social work. And then when crime returns, he has to learn to be Batman again. Maybe he feels conflicted because he now has to start hurting people, even though he hasn't done. And maybe he felt like his work as Bruce Wayne worked better than his work as Batman. And that's the conflict.
that could be interesting.
No, that would suck. Here's the thing. The reason Batman doesn't do social works to fix the city is because everybody in Gotham sucks. And you can't fix Gotham. You need to punch some people, guys.
But they said that we're in peace times, and that Dent Act worked.
But that's because they had like heavy policing of those. That's also the thing about the Dent Act, which is like, this is a really interesting idea where you have like there is a lot of crime, so we're gonna create this act that's like way too powerful and too like it's way too much, but it's such a big net that we're able to catch all the bad guys. But it's like, how many innocent people are in prison because of the Dent Act? And then you have like protesters who are like, no, you know, actually, you're like, you can't just throw everyone in jail to like, you have to actually, you know, like prove that these people are criminals.
Yeah, I mean that's what I said earlier, right? Like you could totally make a story out of that.
Yeah,
you can make it political, but you need to focus everything on it because political stories are super complex.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and yeah, he did it. I think he did it well with the Dark Knight, and I'm like, I genuinely think the problem with this movie is that it's too much going on. If you just cut out some of the stuff, immediately you have like a masterpiece of a movie. If they were to redo this, because there's so much good stuff in this. There's so many like sequences, like when Batman is firing Alfred. What a powerful scene, man! Whereas like, you know, this is the only person who's left in your life of Bruce Wayne. It's the only person, like Rachel is gone, your parents are gone, this is the only link you have to your past, and you're so determined to be Batman that you're just gonna get rid of him. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you have a look at yourself, man.
No, I don't. I agree with you. I feel like, I don't know about masterpiece, but I do feel like there is like a good movie somewhere here, but like it's just, there's just too much wrong with it. Like there's too many distracting elements that take away from what should have been the core of the movie. There's too many decisions made that are like, why was this here? Why does this character exist? What are you like? There's too many messages that are like confusing what the movie is trying to say. Like, what is this movie trying to say? It sounds like it's trying to say a lot, and then it ends up saying nothing at all at the end of it.
Oh my god! Do you guys remember in the beginning when Bane was robbing? Like they were doing that robbery on the stock exchange, and the guy was like, "You guys can't be here. You are stealing money." And Bane was like, "Well, it's what you guys do all the time." It's like, wait, so maybe Bane does believe in this? What is this?
No. The line was, like, he said, there's no money here. What are you doing here? And then he is like, well, then why are you here?
Oh. No, there's nothing for you to rob.
Rich guy.
There's nothing for you to rob. What are you doing here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a weird, like, Bane, you don't actually believe in this. Why? What is this?
I don't even know what he did in that stock exchange.
Oh,
thing.
he
That was
he
that was one of the
stole.
problems.
They stole Bruce Wayne's money.
Yeah, but there
Right.
were certain parts of the movie though that were hard to follow just because Bane's plan is so convoluted that like it was difficult to kind of like understand like, wait, how does this fit in your plan? What even is your plan?
Yeah.
What do you want, Bane?
Like, remember that
Like-
scene in The Dark Knight where the Joker went to visit Harvey Dent, and he was like, "I don't have a plan, right? I'm just a dog chasing cars." And it's like, oh, that's why none of your plans seem to make any sense. It's because like you do have plans, but your plan, like the payout for your plans is just causing chaos. That's why you're doing the
Yeah.
things you do. There was no moment like that in this movie where somebody went, like where Bane went, "No, Batman, don't you understand? I just hate rich people," or whatever. And it's like, oh, that
Right.
makes everything make sense.
There was no point of clarity or
Yeah.
clarification. So we're just end up going like he has this really confusing, convoluted plan for some reason.
Yeah.
Like if we were at least given one or the other, like if it was at least like a coherent plan, but we didn't really know his motivation, at least the plan made sense. Or if at least we understood his motivations, okay, maybe the plan was a fucking mess, but at least you understand what he was going for. When you have neither, it's just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And that's like, the other aspect of this is this whole, oh, Batman's psyche, and I'm going to break you mentally, and I'm going to break the city mentally before blowing them up anyway. You know, it's just like, it doesn't fit.
Yeah. And if you want to break Batman mentally, Bane, what you could have done is just do nothing, because his mind is already breaking just under the pressure of not being able to be Batman. Just give it a couple more years. He's probably going to break his neck.
I thought you were gonna say just bring up his dead parents.
No, you don't need to. I don't think he has like severe trauma about that anymore.
Man, Daniel, you're a chemist. Can you explain to
What's
me
up?
if you can actually lace cement with explosives? Does that make sense?
I don't think that has anything to do with chemistry.
Well, you're the closest I got.
Okay, let me think about this.
Wait, what scene are you talking about?
Well, when he blows up the whole city, like the construction crews are doing all the work in the tunnels, and like they're lacing cement with explosives, so they just blow up all the tunnels and destroy the city.
Okay, so I'm
That's
going to
how they do
explain.
that.
I'm going to explain it like this. Now, I don't know anything about explosives specifically, but I do actually know something about how cement works. And cement, because I used to work in construction, and cement, when it's at first, cement is just like very wet and very kind of like liquidy before it hardens.
Yeah, of course.
So I would say that whatever you put in there, it's just gonna kind of get stuck in there. So
But
it's a
used-
stretch.
It's
a
used
stretch.
in tunnel construction, and it needs to hold up a whole city.
Yes. So that's why I'm saying that like the idea that you're just putting explosives in there seems
I'm
it's
going
very
to assume.
sus.
I'm going to assume that's going to affect the density.
Yeah, but are they like, okay, I actually don't remember this. Are they putting like explosive powder in the cement, or are they just putting like plastic explosies on the like are
No,
they
no,
just
no,
going down
they-
there with dynamite
No.
or whatever?
Throughout the movie, they say like they use the that guy on the Bruce Wayne's company's board. He says like, you have my construction crews working full time for months or whatever,
Yeah.
and they've built this whole tunnel system, and all the cement that they used, this is what Robin finds out, has been laced with explosives, which is why they can then just blow up the entire tunnel system and everything falls apart.
See,
Which is why the football stadium breaks in and everything goes to shit.
I always thought it was more just like I just figured it was like Yeah, they're building tunnels, and then they hide bombs in the tunnel, like in the cement structure, which they can just remote activate, and then they blow
No.
apart the walls and it collapses.
Robin finds 2 barrels. One is, I think he finds like a construction site, and he finds barrels with some explosive component. Solution, yeah.
Well, I mean, like
They were never shown planting bombs on anything.
Okay, so so let's assume that this is a liquid solution. Then this actually isn't that far-fetched, because if you include the liquid solution during the cement process, then it's chemically attached. Well, maybe that because then maybe the liquid cement during the mixing process could alter the chemical nature of the explosive. So
I just want to know if a tunnel built with like laced cement could still function.
Okay,
it's
let me
a
put it to you
magical
this.
movie, man. It probably.
Let me put it to you this way. Could it still act as an explosive? I'm doubtful. Could it still act as cement? Yes.
Okay. Well then, yeah, I'm willing to assume there's some substance out there that could still ignite while packed in cement.
So that, because the most important thing about cement is that it hardens over time, and it needs at least like a month to fully harden. So, and at that point, whatever is inside of it is just going to be like stuck there.
Okay.
See, my dad, when he was teaching me about this, like if you look at a house that was built like 50 years ago, like a cement building, versus a house that was built maybe like 10 years ago, and you cut like a section out, and you look at the section like you look at like the rings of a tree, you can see like there's a very clear distinction in which one is the older one. First of all, because it's more triangular, because the cement like 99.99999% of the hardening is done within like the first month, but for the other 50 years, it's never fully a rock. It's always a liquid that's just really, really slow, and it's still dripping down. So like the base of an old construction site, cement construction site, is always going to be a bit wider than the top, because it's still like melting downwards, and I think it's also going to be harder in the middle of the older one, because harder on the outside maybe, because it like the way it interacts with air changes the direction or whatever of how in the direction of how it hardens, or something like that. But this isn't the friggin' cement show. This is a magic movie where they just like this is the least I'm more concerned with the logistics, Spogen.
Oh yeah, the logistics are another question. How did you get this done? How did you get this past the construction? Whatever authorities are overlooking construction.
Why would anyone work for Bane?
No, because it was the guy who was on the board of the company.
Like that's the thing. You can kind of play off of that and be like, look at how corrupt this is.
I just mean his henchmen. Like, why are these henchmen so like blindly devoted to Bane? Like that, it's so ridiculous.
They're fanatics.
But that also kind of makes no sense, because all the construction crews aren't going to be Bane's men. They are the men of what the fuck ever is his name, the suit guy.
Daggett.
So Bane needs to strategically place his henchmen in there to make sure that the explosives are also in the cement at all times. Yeah. And no one of the regular workers is supposed to notice this.
And no citizen is ever driving by and is like, "Hey, what's this barrel of poison you guys got over there?"
Yeah. I don't know. And then all of this is done in a couple of months, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of these tunnels they actually were building. But if it takes a month for cement to even harden, I think this is a very, very ambitious endeavor.
Yeah, like, yeah. there's a lot of movie here. I think it's worth watching though. I think it's like it's like it's like half of it is really good. The other half is like, now why did you do that instead of doing that? Also, I wonder if Christopher Nolan agreed to this movie simply because like he was offered a pretty big budget for making this movie, and I wonder if his logistic thinking was just, I want to see what I can do with $250 million or whatever he got paid. Because there's a lot of like that scene at the end where the cops are fighting in the middle of Chicago. It's like they actually filmed that. That isn't just they had 30 cops and then they duplicated it. No, they actually had like 600-700 guys on the street like choreographing that. And it's like,
yeah, sure.
It's like, it's actually a really epic movie. And I like, probably he lessons learned from this movie helped when he was directing Dunkirk, where he had like those big sequences. But yeah, I don't know about this one.
Oh, sure. I mean, the visuals, the effects are not the problem of this movie. Except, how do you guys like the aircraft?
It looks like, why doesn't it just look like a giant bat? Why does it look like...
Right? It looks like a fucking bug.
Yeah.
Like when Fox was like, I like calling it the bat. I asked why.
Yeah. Why don't you call it like the Black Hornet? Because it doesn't look anything like a bat. You can give it like 2 bat wings.
Like, and there are certain scenes with it where it's flying around, especially in the city, where it doesn't feel like it's there, even though it's clearly like a physical object. It almost looked like it was superimposed on video rather than it being like physically there.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, this is also the movie that goes crazy with the aspect ratio shifts. Like, one scene will have 7 different aspect ratios in succession.
Yeah, it was awful. It just kept going back and forth. Full screen, widescreen, full screen, widescreen. It was so frustrating.
Yeah.
Just pick one.
I think one of you complained about this when we watched The Dark Knight, and I'm like, no, it gets worse. Like, that was mild because they were like experimenting with IMAX cameras, and they were like, IMAX for a blockbuster. That's never been done before. But this is how you don't do that.
Was that the case in Batman Begins?
No.
I don't remember it being the case.
No, at Batman Begins, they didn't shoot that in IMAX. It was Dark Knight.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I remember complaining about it in Dark Knight, but not in Begins.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think we've said all there is to say about this movie. Unless someone has
how do you guys like the ending?
I do like the ending.
I don't like the ending.
Interesting.
I thought it was so schmaltzy that like, that Albert was just like, oh, yeah, I had this dream that I'm gonna see you in Florence or whatever, and you're gonna be there, and then that literally happens, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Daniel, Bogan, would it surprise both of you to hear that those scenes were added in post?
That is not surprising.
No.
Because the audience reception to the movie, they were really negative that Batman died. And so they added those scenes where he's talking about the cafe, and then that scene where Bruce is in the cafe. Do you think the scene would have played better if Alfred had just been in the cafe, and then he looks up, and then the movie ends, where he's like ambiguous? Or do you think all of it needs to go?
I think you don't even need the setup. I think you can make it a surprise. Like, Alfred looks up and he sees Bruce Wayne there. It can either be a surprise or they are both in on it. But
I don't know. I think I like
need the
Acer.
setup.
I think I like Acer's suggestion better, where he just kind of looks up and then the movie cuts there. I think that would have made for a better ending.
Because
I think some ambiguity.
I think the setup is important specifically because Alfred was like, I dreamed that you would have moved on from Gotham and you'd like have a wife and some kids and you could just put this behind you and start a new life. And if you just have him be alive at the end without that setup, or like you hint to him being alive without the setup, you like the audience is left thinking, oh, Batman is still out there. But it's like, no. The point of the ending is that Batman is done. Like, Bruce Wayne doesn't need that anymore, and he can live his own life. Sure, he's the richest, most famous man in the world, just hanging out without any plastic surgery or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe Batman died, but Bruce Wayne lived in this universe, but what?
I don't want to change the point of that scene. I think you can just bring that through in subtext without the setup. Or you could maybe, I don't know, after Batman supposedly dies, there's another scene with Michael Caine where he's like, yeah, you know, Batman is never coming back. And then he goes to that cafe and he shows, oh, he actually knows that Bruce Wayne is now in hiding.
And if you want to do it ambiguous...
And they're kind of both in on it.
If you want to do it ambiguous, you could just have, like, a kid runs around and, like, in the cafe and trips where Alfred is, and Alfred's like, oh my god, kid, your nose is bleeding, man. I was like, where's your father? And the kid just like points, and then Alfred looks at him and he's like, oh, but you do it better than that.
Well, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it would be a bit ridiculous. Well, that's because I'm overacting it. But like,
but also because the chance of that happening is very small.
Yeah, true.
Like, I fucking hated that. I went into this movie. I mean, I knew how it ended. I was under the impression that it's not actually clear if Bruce Wayne is alive at the end, or if Alfred is sort of imagining it, like imagining a better end for him. But no, he's actually alive, because I forgot they have that scene with a worker.
Yeah,
who's
the
like,
autopilot.
well, no, actually the autopilot was fixed 6 months ago, and you didn't know about this.
Yeah,
the scene itself is so dumb because it shows Batman in the cockpit 5 seconds before the fucking nuke goes off, and somehow he got out of that.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Or maybe they're just like toying around with time. Like, again, I don't like the logistics of how did he escape. It doesn't matter. He just jumped out, and then like maybe they jump over a minute in the movie where the bomb explodes.
And he didn't die of like radiation poisoning?
Yeah. No, you don't know. You don't know what that suit has.
Come on. I think stuff like that matters. I think also this where Batman is in the pit, and then he gets out, and then the next scene is just in Gotham, a city that you can't get into. He has no money. He has nothing.
He can get into anything.
I think that stuff matters to a point, right? Like, I feel like there's some like nitpicky nonsense that people come up with that just makes me roll my eyes, and I'm just like, that's fucking stupid. Shut up. You're missing the point. But like, I don't know. A scene like this where I think part of the problem isn't really even the nitpicky stuff. It's just that it's just a bad ending. It's just...
I like the ending. I don't see why you guys hate it so much.
It's got a schmaltzy setup and payoff that just feels undeserved.
Undeserved?
Yeah.
I don't mind the ending. I think it could have been written a bit more subtly.
I think it's fine.
But maybe, that would be too smart for Nolan fans.
Oh, wow.
I feel like, dick. We should maybe talk about that. This is the movie that I think sort of fractured the Nolan discussion, because Nolan was like, he's the shit. He's the greatest director of all time, people said. And I feel like with this movie, you can see the cracks, because people were like, wait a minute, this movie has these issues. And then people were like, no, you don't know what you're saying. It's a perfect movie. And it's like, no, it's not a perfect movie. It has these cracks in it. And it's like, Nolan is an incredible movie maker, but like this is clearly like, do you think he would not, like, he can do better than this? I know he can do better than this because I've seen him do better than this.
I mean, I don't think we may have some issues with the movies he's made, but I don't think any of us are going to take away from the fact that he is a very talented filmmaker. He's
talented, he's ambitious, but he has his flaws. Yeah. And I think after Dark Knight Rises, they became more apparent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I shouldn't talk about that too much because after Dark Knight Rises, I think the only one I've seen is Inception. But I think that movie is
Inception was before Rises.
It was.
Oh, okay.
It's Inception, Rises, Interstellar, Dunkirk, and now he's doing Eisenhower. No, not Eisenhower.
Open.
no,
Open.
Oppenheimer.
And Tenet,
Yeah, and Tenet,
which
and
I
Tenet.
haven't seen yet. But okay,
Right.
then I have seen Interstellar, which I have a lot of problems with, and Inception. Like it's just that too much plot, too much twists, too much people explaining dumb rules, and then
Too much
the movie
Leonardo
not following
DiCaprio
the
in my
rules.
movie.
Well, no, Leo's fine.
Did you know that Brad Pitt was originally offered that role? That was written for Brad Pitt, and he didn't do it. And I'm like, why didn't you do it? You're a much better actor than Leo.
True.
Anyways,
It's
I think-
yeah. I think Nolan gets worse the more complex his ideas get. Is that fair to say?
I think that's the case with a lot of people, though.
No,
Like-
I think it's. I don't think it's the complexity of the ideas. I think it's the grandness of the scope. So, like, Dark Knight has a lot of complex ideas in it, and that's executed flawlessly because, like, the scope of the movie is relatively small compared to like Interstellar or Dark Knight Rises, or even like Tenet, where like I love Tenet, but I understand why people have a problem with that. Whereas you have something like Dunkirk, which is like, yeah, it's grand in scope in terms of like you have to coordinate a lot of people, but it's relatively it's a simple story you're doing here. It's very simple. Same with like you know something like Memento, right? That's a small scale movie, and that's great.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so hyped for him to do Oppenheimer.
But it's like Inception. Okay, Inception is kind of a weird thing. Like, it's hard to say if Inception is big or small in scope because it's just in a city, but it spans multiple realities. I guess you could call it big in scope.
I haven't seen Inception, to be honest.
What?
I know that was like the biggest movie in the world at the time, but like
It's really not that good, man.
I like
Really?
Inception.
It's a cool idea, but it's just so convoluted for no damn reason. It just keeps
Okay.
like they keep going deeper and deeper into more realities, and they throw these weird explanations at you, and it's just impossible to follow. Like, it's not a I'm too dumb to understand this. It's just you are trying to redefine your rules 3 times over, and it's just not working, man.
all right. No, whatever. Anyways, I think that's about it. I think this has gone on long enough. Before we close this out, Boken, you've stopped. You've retired from videos. How's it feel?
I just, like the last year where I also didn't make videos. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna play MMOs. I'm gonna pick up Street Fighter. I want to go to tournaments for real this time and not have COVID kill the entire fucking fighting game scene.
What if they
so I'm
do
planning-
another Legacy of Kain?
Yeah, I was gonna say you said you would come back if they make a new Legacy of Kain.
I mean, I'm not coming back. I'm gonna make a video on that and then probably quit again.
What if they just
But,
Okay.
decide it's time to milk Legacy of Kain 2 games a year for the next 10 years?
Yeah, then I'm going to kill myself, probably. No, I'm just
assuming they do make a new Legacy of Kain, would you want it to be a sequel to the old games or just blank slate, like reboot, fresh start?
I don't think you can make a sequel.
Agreed.
But I am positive that a remake is going to be shit.
I'm not saying a remake. I'm saying a reboot.
What's the difference?
Ugh.
A remake
Oh,
is
okay, no, I understand the difference. What would be the difference in terms of making Legacy of Kain game?
I'd say like a reboot gives them the opportunity to at least try to carry on the spirit of the original series while just doing its own thing. while a remake is going to be more beholden to whatever game they're remaking.
They are going to remake Soul Reaver 1. I don't know how they will. Most people don't seem to understand that Blood Omen 1 even exists.
I think Blood Omen 1 needs a remake.
But nobody cares about Blood Omen. Most people, when they hear Legacy of Kain, is like, no, that's Soul Reaver. Nobody gives a shit about Blood Omen, even though it's like the cornerstone of the entire story. But it's kind of just baked into the beginning of Soul Reaver, and whatever. So people don't know those movies. Like, you know how many comments I got on my Legacy of Kain video where they were just talking about Soul Reaver, like they didn't even distinguish between the different games. It's just
Soul Reaver is
for these people. Soul Reaver 1, 2, and Defiance.
Yeah, you're right. People don't really care about Blood Omen. And to be fair, I would say that Soul Reavers 1, 2, and Defiance are arguably the most significant in terms of the story. So,
I disagree with that.
Well, Soul Reaver 1 sets everything up, but not much actually happens throughout the game until like the very end.
And Blood Omen 1, there are a lot of callbacks to that in the other Soul Reaver games.
I'm not trying to downplay the importance of Blood Omen 1. Blood Omen 1 is very important, but like, I just mean that as far as most people are concerned, that's where like the main story takes place. Blood Omen 2 can fucking like die in a fire. That game sucks.
Hey, no.
Fuck Blood Omen 2.
Blood Omen 2 has its place in the story too. It's just chronologically the last game, and it sort of resolves what Defiance
Blood Omen 2
set up.
Blood Omen 2 takes place on its own like weird timeline that doesn't make any sense.
You're wrong.
No, I'm not.
No, Daniel. In Defiance, we free, or like Janus Ordwin gets taken over by the Hilden, and the portal gets opened. And in Blood Omen 2, even though it's a weird sort of storyline, that open portal is what Kain destroys in Blood Omen 2. That's why it's the last game in the series.
Okay. I don't know if this is true or not. It's been like a decade since I played these games.
That's why you find Janus Ordwin as a weird monstrosity in the Hilden encampment. That's why he's there. It made no sense when Blood Omen came out, but that's how they sort of retconned it with Defiance.
To make it make sense, okay.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it for now.
Oh, I'm on thin ice.
You are. Hey, sir, what are you working on?
I'm gonna do a video about skeletons, because it is, when we're recording this, it's October 1st, so it's gonna be spooky season soon.
Spooky, scary skeletons.
Yeah. The Armored Core video, finally I'm gonna make that. COVID ruined like a month of my video production, by the way.
Okay. That sucks.
Yeah. Maybe do something else. We'll see. Still programming. Still tying up like weird scripting errors I'm getting. But it's all coming together, baby. Whew.
Cool. All right.
What are you doing, Daniel?
Right now, I'm not working on anything actively. I do have something on the back burner. But until I get that out of the way, I need to there's some stuff that I want to work on. There's some scripts that I have in mind. I am currently playing, because Omori left me like feeling very I don't know. There's a lot about Omori that I want to talk about, because I feel like that game is fascinating, and I do want to go into detail about certain things, but it's kind of a case of, I feel like there's so much to talk about that I don't know where to start or how to even structure the video. So I'm like, I guess right now that's where I'm at, where I'm kind of thinking like, okay, I really want to do a video on Omori, but I don't know what that video looks like just yet. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Hope you all enjoyed another rousing episode of Essays and Espresso podcast.
Are we doing Hogan's anime thing next?
Yeah, I was about to say that. I think the next episode we're finally gonna watch the anime X. We might do
we
it.
Will? Are you going to finish that in 2 weeks?
I don't think it'll be that difficult to finish in 2 weeks.
Oh.
Okay.
And that movie we're doing to watch too.
And the movie.
Okay. All right. That's it. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.